So FC25 is coming to an end, and to celebrate a successful year on the channel, we are going to be going through our top 5 rebuilds of FC25. Massive thank you for all the support throughout FC25. The channel has been booming recently. Big things are coming in FC26. 2024 has been a very disappointing year for Bolton Wanderers. The Whites lost 2-0 to Oxford United in the League One playoff final, and the form of the team throughout 2024 has been absolutely embarrassing. Manager Ian Evatt, who has split opinion amongst fans, has come under intense pressure as it looks like the Whites will not be going up this season. And Bolton have seriously splashed the cash as well this summer, bringing in John McAtee for over £1 million, spending 700 grand on Shabby Sean, and also bringing in serial promotion winner Jay Matete on loan. And any long-time subscriber to the channel will know I am actually a Bolton Wanderers fan. If you follow the community section over on my channel, you will see me complaining about Bolton in there every single weekend, and I just cannot bear to watch my club languish in League One for another season. So today we are jumping into FC25, we're taking charge of Bolton Wanderers, and we are going to win them a Champions League trophy. And if you do enjoy the content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as we are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. Let's now jump into FC25 and get this Bolton rebuild on the way. So this is the Bolton Wanderers team we have loaded into in FC25, and this team is looking far too good for League One, and that is not me being biased. This squad absolutely has to get promoted this season. As anyone who knows lower league football will tell you, attacking options like Dion Charles, Aaron Collins, Victor Adebayo and John McAtee is just far too good for League One level. Given the fact that we are currently 14th in real life, I think that's an absolute disgrace. So I think it's fairly apparent that the squad absolutely has to go up this season, and we definitely will have one of the better squads in League One in FC25. However, I'm not really a fan of the 5 at the back formation, so this will be getting changed. So after having a mess around with the team, we have decided on going for a back 3 of Johnston, Santos and Toll, which in my personal opinion is very strong for League One level. We'll then have a 5-man midfield consisting of 2 wingers, Sean and Osei Tutu, with Matete, Sheehan and Thomason in the middle. And for the start of the season, we are going to go with our 2 highest rated strikers, Dion Charles and Aaron Collins. I do think this squad is very strong and should be getting promoted in Season 1. And in Season 1, we will be hampered by not being able to make any signings, as the transfer windows will be disabled in Season 1, meaning we are stuck with the players we have got until at least Season 2. So the starting 11 is more than good enough to get promoted in my opinion. The bench is where we really do shine. For League One level, we have got so many good options like John McAtee, Victor Adebayo, Carlos Mendes Gomez and Dacus Cogley to bring off the bench to swing a game in our favour. And I really struggle to see many teams in League One having a stronger bench than that in FC25. And we haven't really looked too much into the youth academy so far in FC25, but this rebuild is where it changes. We're kicking things off with an absolutely incredible youngster in our youth academy in Zachary Bowman. He's 17-year-old, 65 rated, and he's got potential from 75 to 94, which is really good. We are going to promote him straight to the senior team and send him out on loan for 2 seasons. And we cannot make any signings in Season 1, but we do have a lot of contracts expiring, and we can use the £3 million that the board have given us to renew contracts and get some youth scouts out there to bring youth players to the club. So we've just put the finishing touches on our tactic for the Bolton rebuild, and this is how it's looking. We've got 2 ball-playing defenders and a stopper, 2 wingers, a box-to-box midfielder in Matete, a playmaker in Thomason, where Sheehan will be a deep-line playmaker in the centre defensive midfielder role. We will then have Charles and Collins as advanced forwards. Our build-up style will be short passing like Bolton interpret in real life, and we'll also have a balanced defensive approach. If you want to analyse this tactic any further, feel free to pause the video and look. So as we've already discussed, Bolton do have a bit of a problem in Season 1. They've got some key first team players out of contract like Nathan Baxter, Ricardo Santos, Josh Sheehan and Josh Dacus Cogley. We're going to take some time now to renew every single player's contract, and that'll probably leave us with no money left in the bank. So I don't really think there's anything left for us to do in Season 1 other than simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. We've pretty much covered everything we can do without making any signings, and I'm just hoping to see Bolton in the Championship at the start of Season 2. So we have arrived at the end of Season 1, and we have been promoted to the Sky Bet Championship, finishing 2nd in the League One table on 93 points, scoring 104 goals. Birmingham were the runaway league winners. They've got 108 points. They've still got a game to play, but all that matters is Bolton Wanderers will be in the Championship in Season 2. However, in the FA Cup we did reach the 3rd round proper, which is a really good achievement for any lower league side, but ultimately we found Southampton to be a class above as they levered us 5-1. So all we cared about in Season 1 was getting promoted, and we managed to do so, and this is the squad that has done it. We've had some really good growth from the entire team, mainly from players like Baxter, Johnston, Toll, Thomason Bolton and Sean. And I do think going into the Championship, we have got a pretty good chance of staying up in Season 2. However, we do need to make some signings. I'm thinking we need to bring in a right midfielder to replace Osei Tutu, as at 25-year-old and 68 rated. Do think we can do much better. Also, Jay Matete's loan will be expiring and he will be returning to Sunderland. He's 68 rated and 24-year-old. We're not going to be making that deal permanent, so we will be in the market to bring a new central midfielder and right midfielder to the club. And we did make 3 outgoings in Season 1. Joel Coleman, who is one of the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen play for Bolton, has left the club for Bristol Rovers for 150 grand. Scott Arfield's contract has expired and he will join Racing Club on a free contract. And we also sent Zachary Bowman out on loan to FC20. However, this man's loan will be getting cut short and we are going to integrate him into our starting 11. And to integrate Bowman into our starting 11, there will be a small change in formation. We will be changing to a 3-4-1-2 with a centre attacking midfielder instead, swapping Sheehan out of the team for Bowman, and we are going to go with a slightly more attacking approach in Season 2. And at the start of the video, I did say how strong I thought Bolton's attacking options were for League One, and it has shown in FC25. Dion Charles scored 36 goals and 9 assists in 51 games. Aaron Collins then chipped in with 33 goals and 12 assists in 53 games, which is just absolutely crazy. So Season 1 was absolutely outstanding. We're now getting into Season 2 and my main goal is just survival in the Championship. So we've arrived in Season 2 and our first in the Championship, and we have got a £13 million transfer budget, which I think is actually a pretty decent budget. So for our first signing of this Bolton Wanderers rebuild, I do want to make a big statement to the rest of the Championship, and we have noticed that Jessurun Raksaki is available for transfer from Crystal Palace. He is 22 years old, 73 rated, didn't have the best loan spell with Sheffield United in game. However, his stats look great. He's got 4-star weak foot and a few play styles, and the max Crystal Palace are going to ask for him is 5.3 million, meaning he falls well into our price range, and I think he'd be an amazing signing for Bolton. And first signings don't get much better than this. Raksaki is in for £5 million, which I think is a steal. However, we are now left with just £7 million to bring in a central midfielder. Now, before we make another signing, we have had quite a few player departures. Kicking things off, Josh Dakers-Cogley has joined Cardiff City for £1 million. Dan Unlundalu has joined NAC for 500 grand. Nelson Kumbeni has joined Groningen for 240 grand. Max Conway has joined Dynamo for 230 grand. Gethin Jones has joined Swansea City for 620 grand. And Connor Carter has joined FC Blaauwys 370 grand. Meaning we have now got £9 million to bring in a central midfielder. And I am so glad we've managed to recuperate quite a bit of transfer budget, boys, as we have identified an absolutely outstanding midfielder who is actually affordable to us right now, and that is Lucas Bjergvall of Tottenham Hotspur. He is 19 years old, he's 72 rated. The stats are so good for such a young midfielder. He's got plenty of play styles, one of the highest potential central midfielders in the Premier League, and we can get him for a maximum of £6 million. We have absolutely got to bring Bergvall to the Tough Sheet Community Stadium, because I think this would be the perfect central midfield signing for us. And what an unbelievable signing this is. Bergvall joins us for just 4.7 million, which is a steal, lads. And after the signings of Raksaki and Bergvall, the team is looking so good on paper. The only player under 70 rated in our starting 11 is Zachary Bowman, but he has got so much potential. He could be one of the highest rated players in the actual team by the end of the season, and I'm genuinely so excited to see how this team gets on in Season 2. Now, our bench is once again looking pretty strong. We've got 2 pretty good backup strikers in McAtee and Adebayo, good backup wingers in Mendes Gomez and Osei Tutu, a good central midfielder in Aaron Morley, who's still growing. We've also got Randall Williams and Chris Farino in there for defensive cover, and even looking to our reserves, players like Luke Southwood, Josh Sheehan, Forrester and Dempsey can all come in and do a job if needed. But after the signings of Raksaki and Bergvall, we're left with £3 million in the bank, but we do have some player contracts to renew. We need to bring some youth coaches in and also get our youth scouts out looking for some good young talent, so I don't think there's going to be any more incomings at all in season number 2, and I'm also not expecting any outgoings either. And after renewing a fair few contracts, we've only got 550 grand, so our transfer window is now definitely finished. We are now going to be simulating forward straight through to the end of season 2, and I just want to see Bolton survive in the Championship. Oh, so close, man. So close. We've arrived at the end of season 2, boys. We've finished 7th in the Championship. We were just 1 point off finishing in the playoffs, unfortunately. Preston do still have a game to play. Cardiff are finished on 69 points. literally so close to getting into the top 6 in our first season back in the Championship, but the glaring issue I can see here, conceded 63 goals this season, and despite finishing 7th, we actually finished with a -1 goal difference. That just says to me we have got to improve the defence heading into season number 3. And to add to an impressive season, we did get to the 5th round of the FA Cup, where unfortunately we came up against Premier League Everton and they beat us 2-1. Well, this is how our starting 11 is looking at the end of season number 2, and it is night and day compared to the team that we started with. Our standout players are George Thomason, Herson Raksaki and Lucas Bergvall, all 75 rated. There is no one in the team lower than 71 rated, and Ricardo Santos is our lowest rated player. If we take a look at the bench, we've had a lot of growth. Morley's reached 70 rated, McAtee's reached 70 rated, so the squad is continuing to develop at a nice rate. But where do we need to improve the team in season number 3? Well, it's obvious we conceded far too many goals. Have to bring in a centre back to replace Santos heading into season number 3. And if I have any leftover money, boys, Dion Charles is now 30 years old, and listen, I absolutely love the man in real life, but he's not going to grow much higher than 73 rated. We need to bring in a younger, high potential striker who can fire us into the Premier League, because Charles is going to start decreasing in overall very soon. And Aaron Collins this season was our best player, getting 21 goals and 10 assists, followed by Charles, whose goal expenditure has massively fell. He scored 36 in League One last season. He's only managed 12 in the Championship with 2 assists, probably rectifying the fact that we do need to replace him in season 3. So season 2 in turn has been an absolute massive success. 1 point outside of the playoffs in our first season back in the Championship. That is a brilliant season. We just now need to get the signings right in season 3, and hopefully we can actually get into the playoffs this time. So we have arrived in season 3, and boys, we've been shafted. We have only got £7 million in the bank. So we are kicking off our transfer window with 4 outgoings to try and recuperate some transfer budget. Kicking things off, fringe defender Chris Farino has joined Birmingham for 1.1 million. Josh Sheehan has lost his place in the first team and is joining Coventry City for 1 million. Luke Matheson has joined Sivasspor for 650 grand. And the sale that hurts me the most, we have sold 30-year-old Dion Charles to Getafe for 3.5 million. He has been an absolutely unbelievable servant for Bolton Wanderers. I absolutely love the guy, and as much as it pains me to say it, he is just not getting us into the Premier League, so we've had to sell him while we can. This now means we have a slightly more respectable 14 million in the bank, so we may just be able to get a centre-back and striker after all. And now that we've finally got some decent money to play with, we're going to be going in for Callum Doyle of Manchester City. He is 22 years old, he's 76 rated, his stats are absolutely great, but his contract is expiring in 12 months time, meaning we can get him for below his market value. City are going to ask for anywhere between 5.5 and 9.2 million. I'm just hoping that they ask for the latter. And we have got our man Callum Doyle is in for just 6.5 million, which is such a good deal. However, that leaves us with just £5 million in the bank, so bringing in a striker could be difficult. And thankfully, boys, we have actually won our pre-season tournament, adding 2.65 million to our transfer budget, and this could not have come at a better time. And we now have 8 million to try and bring in a striker. And boys, we have actually signed a striker who looks really good, and I have never used this guy before in a rebuild. Manchester United striker Ethan Wheatley is in for £4.4 million. Trust me, this guy looks like the perfect replacement for Dion Charles. He's 20 years old, 72 rated, 6'2", showing great potential. He's got great shooting stats, great dribbling stats. He's got 4-star weak foot. Looks like a really good player. However, this man has got massive boots to fill, as Charles was a major fan favourite. And after the signing of Wheatley, we've got less than 1 million in the bank, meaning our transfer window is definitely now finished. And after the signings of Wheatley and Doyle, this will be the Bolton Wanderers team to take us into season 3. It's looking so strong on paper, boys. We are getting there. We're definitely getting there. And I am full of confidence that this team can definitely get into the playoffs this season. So let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 3 and hope for we have got into the playoffs. Lads, I suggest you pack your bags, because we are off to the Premier League with Bolton Wanderers. We've won the Championship on 102 points, winning 32 games, scoring 91 goals, and for the first time since 2012, Bolton Wanderers are back in the Premier League. However, our FA Cup run ended in the 3rd round very bizarrely, as we lost 12-11 on penalties to Leeds. But I couldn't care less about that. Let's look at the Bolton team that has won the Championship Premiership, and looking at this team on paper, it's clear to see why. The squad is full of Premiership quality players like Bergvall, Thomason, Bowman, Wheatley, Raksaki and Doyle. Unfortunately, we have had 2 injuries to Sean and Toll, who are probably going to be 2 players that we look to replace when we get to the Premier League. We are going to be bringing in a new centre-back and a new left midfielder. Going into season 4, we need to really solidify the defence. So there may even be 2 new centre-backs, maybe even a new goalkeeper. I'm not 100% decided just yet what I want to do. And I cannot lie, Aaron Collins in this rebuild has been absolutely insane. He's got 29 goals and 8 assists. I think that means he's scored over 20 goals in every season so far, which is just a joke, to be honest. However, Ethan Wheatley came in and he filled Charles' boots massively, scoring 27 goals and getting 4 assists. I've got one final bit of news, boys. Randall Williams will be leaving the club at the end of the season, as we have chosen to not renew his contract. And we will also be promoting 2 academy players to the first team. Nathan Charles has been promoted to the first team. He's got 81 to 87 potential and he is a centre-back. And Dexter Manning will also be promoted to the senior team. He's got 78 to 84 potential. So we've arrived in season 4 and we are in the Premier League, but we've only got 53 million in the bank, which I can't lie, I am pretty disappointed with. So as we simulated through to season 4, I did have a little bit of a thought, and I was thinking we are going to need an absolutely quality goalkeeper in the Premier League, otherwise teams are just going to ship goals past us. And I'm going to bring a man back to Bolton who was on loan here for 18 months, stole the hearts of Bolton fans, and is actually, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper Bolton Wanderers have had since Jussi Jääskeläinen, and that man is James Trafford, currently playing for Burnley. He is 80 rated, 24-year-old, got really nice stats, and he is in the final year of his contract, meaning we can pick him up for below his market value. He is absolutely adored by all Bolton fans, and if I ever get a chance to bring Trafford back to Bolton, I'm always going to take it. And James Trafford is back home where he belongs for just 17.5 million. And after bringing Trafford home, we have got 34 million left in the bank. Given the fact our transfer budget is not the best this season and we do need to be competitive in the Premier League, we have dipped into the free agent market and brought in an absolute gem. 76 rated 18-year-old Sam Dodds, brought in on a 5-year deal. He's showing great potential, only cost us 20 grand a week in wages, and for such a cheap signing he comes straight into our starting 11 and has actually got really good potential, which we love to see. And we have in fact identified the left midfielder we want to bring to the Tough Sheep Community Stadium, and that man is Mikey Moore, currently playing for Torino. He is 19 years old, he is 76 rated, his stats are great, he's got a 4-star week foot, which we love to see. And he's actually very affordable, as the max we're going to pay for him is 18.5 million, but I'm confident we can get that price down and we could have an absolute superstar on our hands here. And Mikey Moore joins the club for £15 million, and I think this is the most exciting deal we've done so far. So in the excitement of bringing all these players to the club, we have sold a few players as well, and we have managed to recuperate a nice amount of transfer budget. Kicking things off, Kyle Dempsey has left the club to San Jose Earthquakes for 610 grand. Nathan Baxter rejected a new contract with rotation playing basis, so we've had to sell him. He has gone to Gil Vicente for 5.5 million. Carlos Mendes Gomez is no longer good enough, as we are now in the Premier League, and we have sold him to Sunderland for 1.4 million. And the same goes for Will Forrester, who has left to New York City for 1.2 million. And we have also sent academy graduate Dexter Manning out on loan for the season. And we now have £19 million, which I am going to use to bring in another centre-back. And we have identified El Chadile Bitshabu of Monaco. He's 22-year-old, he is 76 rated, he's 6'5", which we love to see. Really good defensive stats, but that is about it. And we can definitely afford him, as the max Monaco are going to ask for is 14.8 million. He's a much more defensive-minded defender than our other 2 centre-backs, and I think he will be perfect at 6'5" in the middle of our back 3. And Bitshabu joins the club for £13 million, which will be the last deal of our transfer window. And with Trafford, Dodds, Bitshabu and more added to the first team, this will be the Bolton Wanderers team to take us into season 4 and our first in the Premier League. This squad does look strong on paper, full of really good high potential youngsters, and really I do think the sky is the limit for this team, but this season is all about consolidation. We need to not get relegated, which I'm pretty confident we won't do. Now, the only other transfer activity that will be taking place is youth players being loaned out, which I'm more than likely just going to do off camera. We are now simulating forward straight through to the end of season 4, and Premier League survival is the goal. So we have reached the end of season 4 and we have actually had an outstanding season, as we have finished 9th in the Premier League on 56 points, and we were literally 10 points off a Champions League place and 4 points off a guaranteed Europa League place. Our performance in the Premier League this season has been absolutely outstanding. I know we need to start putting the building blocks in place to make us a Champions League club. In the FA Cup, we were knocked out by Manchester United on penalties. No shame in that. Hopefully we can have a better run next season. So this is the Bolton team at the end of season 4, and it is definitely looking very strong. Bergvall is now 86 rated and James Trafford is now 84 rated. Them two are by far our best players. They've also got some real quality players at the club as well, like Raksaki, Bowman, Doyle and Wheatley. Now, as we've already mentioned, it's time to start making us a Champions League level side. Now, when it comes to signings in season 5, I'm going to give Dodds and Bitshuba another season to develop. Where we're going to focus all of our money really is replacing Aaron Collins up front. He is now 31-year-old, he's 79 rated, he isn't going to grow by much more, maybe even may start decreasing in overall very soon. I think if we spend a big chunk of our money bringing in a strike partner for Wheatley, who can also develop at the same rate that Wheatley is, this is definitely going to help us get in the Champions League. And because we finished 9th, I don't think our budget's going to be anything too extraordinary, so we may only be able to make one signing in season 5. Now, in terms of stats, Ethan Wheatley was fantastic this season, getting 19 goals and 4 assists, and Collins again, he just continues to impress me. 17 Premier League goals this season. However, at 31-year-old and 79 rated, it is definitely time to replace him. And one final bit of news, club legend Ricardo Santos will be leaving the club as he is retiring at the end of the season. What a servant he's been for Bolton. So let's now get into season 5 and start working towards a European place. So we've arrived in season 5, and like I predicted, the budget is not that good. We've only got £45 million, meaning we're probably only going to be able to bring in one player this summer. Now, Terry wanted me to send a scout to Nigeria to try and find the next JJ Okocha. Well, we have done just that. We did send a scout to Nigeria, and he did bring us back some decent players. Now, our scout did not manage to find anyone who is quite as good as JJ Okocha, or can be as good as JJ was. However, he did find 3 players that I am quite excited about: Chidi Mohammed, Julius John and Andrew Akpan, with Akpan being the pick of the bunch. We're going to get these players developed, send them out on loan, and hopefully in a few seasons time they're running around the first team picture. But just because there was no regen in our academy doesn't mean we can't bring an absolute Nigerian superstar to Bolton Wanderers, just like Big Sam did with JJ, as we have brought Gift Orban to the club for £40 million. He's 26-year-old, 83 rated, love the look of his stats, and trust me boys, this deal has left us with 0 in our bank account, so we're going to have to sell 1 or 2 players to renew some contracts. But Gift Orban is such a good signing, and with Orban in the team and with Batshuba and Dodds already growing in the off-season, squad is looking very strong, and maybe we can sneak into a Europa League spot at least this season. Now, as one Nigerian striker joins the club, one Nigerian striker leaves the club. Victor Adebayo has left the club to Stoke City for £1.8 million. Now, in all honesty, the only other transfers that will take place right now are us trying to get our Nigerian youth academy players out on loan, which I am just going to do off camera. I'm fairly content to say that is our season 5 transfer window done, but what a signing we have made with Orban. So with the transfer window closed, there is nothing left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 5. So we've arrived at the end of season 5, boys, and I genuinely do not know whether to laugh or cry, as we have finished 5th in the Premier League on 70 points, meaning for the first time since 2008, Bolton Wanderers are back in Europe. But at what cost, boys? We were 1 point outside of the top 4. We were the highest scorers in the league for back-to-back seasons, getting 93 goals, and we had a 35 goal difference, meaning we've got the best goal difference in the league as well. If we got just 1 more point, we would have been playing Champions League next season, which is absolutely gut-wrenching. In the FA Cup, we made it to the 5th round, where we got knocked out by Leeds United, and we have not actually had a good run yet in the FA Cup, and I'm starting to get slightly worried. Season 6, we have to be better in the Cup. So this is the Bolton Wanderers team at the end of season 5, and it is starting to look like a real world-class team. Bergvall is almost 90 rated, and he is our star man. Wheatley, Doyle and Trafford all going really nicely as well. Every single player in the starting lineup is now above 80 rated, which we love to see. However, we are now competing in European competitions. Looking at our back 3, there's no real standout world-class centre-back. Doyle is well on his way to becoming a world-class centre-back, but as of right now, he isn't quite that man. I think we need to go out into the transfer window, bring in a world-class centre-back who's above 85 rated and got experience in European competition. And if we have any leftover money at all, I may look to bring in a central midfielder to replace Thomason, but I'm not too sure what the budget's going to be. Our bench for season 5 was quite strong with players like Toll, Sean and Collins on there who could make a difference. Throughout this entire rebuild, the bench has been a bit of a weak point, but we've just not had them finances in to make multiple signings in one window and improve the quality of our bench. Now, in terms of stats, our new front two were incredible this season. Ethan Wheatley is now showing he's going to become a world-class striker. 47 games, 41 goals, 10 assists. That is insane. And Gift Orban, we said we wanted to bring someone with Nigerian flair like JJ Okocha to the club. Orban got 29 goals and 19 assists. It's safe to say that our two strikers really did carry us this season. So season 5 was actually an excellent season. We've got into a European competition, it's just not the Champions League. So season 6 we need to get a world-class defender through the door and try to get into the Champions League places. So we've arrived in season 6 and we've finally got a massive transfer budget. We've got £148 million. Thank God. I definitely think we can bring a central midfielder and a centre-back to the football club in this window. And we are wasting absolutely no time. We're getting stuck straight into the transfers. The first player we've identified is 25-year-old Lucas Beraldo, who is 85 rated and got really nice stats. He has plenty of experience playing in European competitions as he's played for PSG and Wolfsburg, and this could actually be a pretty good deal as we're going to be paying anywhere between 53 and 71 million pounds. I'm going to try and meet Wolfsburg in the middle ground, and that would probably leave us with about 70 million to bring in a central midfielder. And what a deal we have got as Beraldo comes through the door for just 55 million. That is an insane deal, and we have still got 88 million in the bank to bring in a central midfielder, and I am absolutely buzzing right now. So the next area of the squad we want to improve is the central midfield position, and we have identified Andre Santos, currently playing for Marseille in France. He's 84 rated, 25-year-old. The stats are so well rounded, every single stat above 75. The perfect box-to-box midfielder for our system, and we can get him for relatively cheap, as the max we're going to pay for him is 57.6 million. But I'm very confident we can get that price down and bring Santos to the Tough Sheet Stadium. And once again, we've got an incredible deal, just 44 million for Santos. And after the signing of Santos, we do still have 41 million in the bank, so we're not yet done in this window. So as we know, we're left with 40 million in the bank, and looking at our bench, we don't really have many options in the wide areas. Raksaki and Moore have got Sean and Osei Tutu as backups. Don't really think these two are good enough to be playing in Europe, so with the remainder of our 40 million, we are going to bring in a new wide player. And we have identified the wide man we want to bring to the Tough Sheet Community Stadium. And that man is Tyreek George, currently playing for Southampton. His stats are really decent, 4-star, 4-star. Some play styles as well. He falls well into our price range, as the max we're paying for him is 32 million. And I genuinely think George will be an amazing backup to Moore and Raksaki. And after the signing of George, we're left with 18 million, meaning our transfer window is finished. And a few players have left the club in this window. George Johnston has left the club for Birmingham City for £3 million. Vladi Loas has left the club for a Turkish side for 1 million. Owen Toll has left the club for Sassuolo for 4.1 million. We are now expecting no further outgoings or incomings, so our transfer window is finished. And that starting 11 just speaks for itself. We are cooking, and I'm really hoping this team's going to get us into the Champions League. And now looking to our bench, we've got so many options like George, Dodds, Thomason, Collins, even Sean at a push, and McAtee. I'm really happy with how the squad's looking in season number 6. So as we know, this season we are in the Europa League, and we will take on some pretty decent sides in the league phase as we kick things off with a tie against Lech Poznan, which to be honest we should be winning. We'll also take on Lazio, which will be very difficult, Famalicão from Portugal, and Valencia as well, just to name a few. So we have got some pretty difficult ties in the Europa League, but I do think we're going to have far too much firepower. So let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 6. I'm hoping we'll be in the Champions League, and I want to see some really good performances in the FA Cup and Europa League. So we have arrived at the end of season 6, and in season 7 we will be playing Champions League football, as we have finished second in the Premier League, only 5 points off champions Manchester City, and Champions League nights are coming to the Tough Sheet Community Stadium. And Bolton Wanderers are the FA Cup champions for the first time since 1958, as we smashed West Bromwich Albion 5-1 at Wembley. In the Europa League, we went 8 for 8 in the league phase, finishing on 24 points, topping the league phase out of 36 sides, only to then lose to Boa Vista in the round of 16. Just make it make sense. And this is the Bolton Wanderers team that has won the FA Cup and finished second, and it's clear to see why. What a team we have built here on paper. So many world-class players. This squad is absolutely brilliant, and we're going to have a real good run in the Champions League next season. I can feel it. But where do we improve the team in season 7? I think Mikey Moore has really plateaued in terms of development. He's only growing by 1 overall point per season. I'm going to bring in a world-class left midfielder, maybe bring in a backup striker as well, and then I think we are sorted for the Champions League. Now, while the team didn't score as many goals this season, we certainly conceded much less, but Ethan Wheatley was outstanding again. This guy is now 90 rated, got 40 goals and 7 assists, and his partner Orban wasn't bad as well, 22 goals, 7 assists. So we have arrived in season 7, and we have got 184 million to bring in a world-class left midfielder and a decent backup striker. And we really are not messing about in this transfer window, as our first target is an absolute superstar. Jamie Bino Gittins, currently playing for AC Milan. He is 25-year-old, he's 86 rated, the stats are amazing, 4-star, 4-star, plenty of play styles. Could be a costly deal, as Milan could even ask for up to 100 million for him. I'm very confident we can get that price down, bring Gittins in for a good fee, and this man would take us to the next level on our left side. Jamie Bino Gittins is in for £80 million, and this is a real statement signing. And that does leave us with 97 million in the bank, which may seem a lot. We do have to bring in a backup striker with this money, and also we have quite a few players out of contract who are going to demand massive wage increases. And that backup striker we are looking for comes in the form of Antonio Raimondo, currently playing for Leeds United. He's 26-year-old, 82 rated, really decent stats for a striker, and he is very affordable, boys. The max Leeds are going to want from him is £42 million. I think he'd be a really good rotation player for the squad. And Raimondo does sign for the club for £35 million, and I'm really happy to have an extremely good backup striker on the bench. So Bino Gittins and Raimondo are our only bits of transfer business in this window, and we've also not let anyone leave the club. We want to keep the squad together. As we know, we are in the Champions League in season 7, and we are kicking things off with an away tie to Rangers at Ibrox. What a game that should be. We will then take on Borussia Dortmund away, so 2 amazing away trips for our fans very early on in the Champions League. We'll then go away to Barcelona. Wow, these away days, man, I'm so jealous. At home to Napoli, so do you know what? Our fixtures are not kind whatsoever. We've got the real brunt end of the stick when it comes to the Champions League, but I do think we've got so much firepower. The squad is amazing. I mean, just look at that starting 11 and look at the options we have from the bench now with George, Moore, Collins, Raimondo, Thomason, Bjorn and Dodds. This team is absolute fire, and I think we've got a really good chance of having a good season. So now there is nothing left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 7, and I'm really excited to see how that squad got on, because that team is so good. So we have arrived at the end of season 7, lads, and we have won the Premier League on 77 points, and for the first time in Bolton Wanderers history, they are actually the champions of England, and I'm just hoping and praying at some point in my lifetime I actually see this. We didn't have the best run in the FA Cup, only getting to the 4th round where Southampton beat us 3-2. But boys, we are in the Champions League final, and we are going to be taking on Atletico Madrid. We had a fairly impressive league phase as we finished 6th out of 36 clubs. In the round of 16, we comfortably beat Monaco 6-3 over 2 legs. In the quarterfinals, we took on Wolfsburg, who we beat 5-3 over 2 legs in a much closer game. And then we would be drawn to Feyenoord in the semi-finals, who we beat 6-2 over 2 legs. So we actually had a pretty decent run to the final. Monaco, Wolfsburg and Feyenoord, it could have been much harder than that, and we will take on Atletico Madrid. Now, this is the Bolton Wanderers team that has got us to a Champions League final. Our back three is looking pretty tired, which is a bit of a concern, but the starting 11 is an absolute joke. We have got 3 90 rated players in the team in Wheatley, Bowman and Bergvall. Orban, Bino, Gittins, Baraldo, Santos, Bitshuba, Trafford. What a team this is, and I'm really confident heading into the final. And when it comes to the stats, wow, 3 players really stood out. Ethan Wheatley carried on doing what he does best, 32 goals and 7 assists. Gift Orban had a great season, getting 28 goals and 9 assists. But I want to talk about Jamie Bino Gittins, his first season as a Bolton Wanderers player. He scored 23 times and got 9 assists. That is absolutely insane. So it is now Champions League final time, and we have got Atletico Madrid standing in our way. So it's Champions League final time, boys. We're taking on Atletico Madrid, already into the thick of the action. Lads, let's just get the job done, but let's not let Atletico Madrid score in the first couple of minutes. And Molina could be in here for Atletico Madrid. Oh, could be in. What a tackle by Doyle. And he's going to pull it back for an earlier foul. There was definitely a foul in the build-up there. And that is a very early warning sign from Atletico Madrid of what they are capable of. Bergvall, this is a good chance. Gittins down the line. Good touch. Wheatley, we're going to score. He's going to score. He's missed. Oh my God. Ethan Wheatley, who has been slamming goals home in a Bolton Wanderers shirt, misses a massive chance to put us 1-0 up. Wheatley. Oh, what a ball. And Gittins is in. And we're not missing this time. It's another sweaty goal as Bergvall puts us 1-0 up in the Champions League final. A half of not many chances, both team defences cutting each other out, but Bino getting squares the ball and Bergvall plants into the top corner. Molina could be in here. Oh, what a block by Beraldo. That's a big moment. That is a big, big moment. Atletico probably should be back on level terms. Corner. Whipped in. That's going to be the keepers. Well done, James Trafford. Excellent first half from Bolton. Our defence has been really good. Some big blocks. But we are 1-0 up in the Champions League final. Molina. Oh, he's put it over the bar. Molina. That's an early warning sign from Atletico in this second half. We have had a really poor start to this half. Get across. Oh, the defence is wide open. What a save by Trafford, but they put the rebound in. We've just gone completely to sleep in this second half. Gift, Orban. Oh, he's got the pace. Wheatley, he's not made the run. I want him to square it. I have squared it. It's 2-1. Ethan Wheatley with the goal. Brilliant breakaway by Gift Orban. And if the option is on, I'm always going to square it. Ethan Wheatley still had to finish it. And what a finish it was. We are back in the lead. It is 2-1 in the final. Santos up to Molina. Oh, he's through the gap. But Doyle is there. Great clearance. That's what we need. What a tackle. What a tackle. Those big gaps. Oh, no. Molina could be in. What a block by Santos again. Go on Wheatley. It don't matter, the game is over. Bolton Wanderers are the champions of Europe. We definitely had to hold on there at the end. Atletico through the kitchen sink at us. But goals from Bergvall and Wheatley bring the Champions League trophy to the Tough Sheet Community Stadium. And the Champions League trophy has been lifted, boys. Callum Doyle did the honours. The man who's been here for so long. Bolton Wanderers are the champions of Europe. Beşiktaş are one of Turkey's biggest football clubs, winning 16 Turkish Super League titles along with 11 Turkish Cups. They are also one of only 3 Turkish sides who have never been relegated. However, this season Beşiktaş have been underwhelming as they currently sit 4th in the Turkish Super League and already find themselves out of the Europa League after a terrible league phase. I think you know what's coming next, lads, as we are going to jump into FC25, take charge of Beşiktaş with the end goal of winning them a UCL trophy. This will also be the first ever time we have rebuilt a team from the Turkish Super League, and if you have any other leagues you want to see me rebuilding, let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, drop a like and subscribe to the channel as well if you do enjoy the content. Let's now jump into FC25 and get this Beşiktaş rebuild on the way. So this is the Beşiktaş team we have loaded into an FC25, and for the first time in a long time this team is actually amazing to start off with. The best player at the club is central attacking midfielder Rafa, who is 83 rated and 31-year-old. We've also got legendary Italian striker Ciro Immobile, who's 82 rated and 34-year-old. They are 2 amazing players right now, but the worrying thing for me is these 2 players will start to decrease in overall very soon. Ultimately will need to be replaced. We do have an amazing central midfielder, Gedson Fernandes, 79 rated, 25-year-old, can play all across the midfield. Another worry for me is that some of our first choice players are actually really old, like Mert Gunnock, who is our first choice goalkeeper, Gabriel Paulista, who is our first choice centre back, and Jonas Svensson, our first choice right back, are all over 30 and will need replacing soon. And in fact we have actually got 12 players at the club who are over 30-year-old. We are going to have to do a lot of balancing out of this squad over the course of the rebuild. But we do have a young superstar at the club, Semir Kılıçkay, 71 rated, 18-year-old, looks amazing. We haven't used him yet in FC25, but I'm sure he's going to be a huge player for us, and I think given his potential he has to be thrown straight into the first team straight away. Speaking of the first team, I'm not going to be using the 4-4-1-1 in this rebuild as we've literally just used it. I'm going to switch up how we're going to play. So after having a play around with the team, we're going to go with a 4-3-3 attack for this rebuild, and our starting 11 without any transfers does actually look quite good. We've managed to get Kılıçkay into the team out on the left, but despite us having a pretty good team on paper, this is an aging starting 11 with 7 of our 11 starting players over 30 years of age. So there's going to be a lot of work to be done in this rebuild, and this rebuild
rebuild is going to be made slightly more difficult, as we must have at least 4 Turkish players in the starting 11 and into the Champions League final. So it's a good thing we've already got Kılıçkay in the squad. Now in season 1 we are starting off with 20 million euros in the bank, and I do think it's time we start replacing some of these players who are over 30 years of age. And I think looking at our team, Masuaku and Ukan are our 2 worst players. Both of them are over 30. So in season 1 our goals in the first transfer window will be to bring a new central midfielder and left back to the club. We're going to try and make both of these players Turkish if there are good options out there. So our first transfer window as Beşiktaş boss has been fairly busy, but we have managed to make 2 new signings. Kicking things off, we have signed Rıdvan Yılmaz from Rangers for 9.3 million euros. He's 23-year-old, 74 rated, plays in the left back position. He is absolutely rapid and he'll be our new first choice left back. We have then made a really exciting signing in the centre midfield position, as we have signed Christos Zafarilis from Slavia Prague, 13 million euros. He is 21 years old, 75 rated, showing great potential, has amazing stats as well. He's going to be a really promising central midfielder for us throughout this rebuild. Now 3 players did leave the club on permanent deals. Arthur Masuaku, Amir Hadziyemetovic has left the club, and Bahaktiyar Zenutdiov has left the club as well. This raised us around 9 million euros. And 2 youngsters have left the club on 2-year loans as well. And with our new signings in the team, this is going to be the Beşiktaş team to take us into season number 1, and this team is now locked in. No more changes can be made. Hopefully this squad's got enough to get us into the Champions League, or at least the Europa League. And then in season 2 we can once again work on getting the older players out of our squad. And the way I want to play with this Beşiktaş team is going to be a wing play system, a balanced build-up style and a high defensive approach. I just feel like this is the best way to go with Beşiktaş. Now we do actually still have 10 million euros in the bank, which to be honest could probably sign us 1 more player. We need to bring a whole host of coaches in. We also need to send our youth scouts out to one of your suggestions, and some of our players do actually have release clauses, so we're going to have to sieve through our contracts and get all these sorted out. And I can see quite a few of these players actually wanting more money, so we'll have to put some money to one side for that. And recently I've been asking you, where should I send my youth scouts, and there's been so many suggestions. We've got so many countries to actually scout. But for season 1 we are going with this comment, and we are sending our youth scouts off to Bolivia. We are looking for centre backs, centre mids, strikers and right wingers. And after bringing some new coaches in, renewing the contracts and also sending our youth scouts out, we're now left with 6 million euros in the bank, and to be honest that's not bringing any more players to the club. So I'm going to say that's our transfer window done for season number 1. Let's simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. I'm hoping personally for either Champions League or Europa League football. But we have arrived at the end of season number 1, and we have finished 3rd in the Turkish Super League, qualifying for the Europa League once again next season. Finished on 79 points, but Galatasaray and Fenerbahce were just far too good for us this season, especially Fenerbahce, who only lost once and achieved 95 points. We've got some work to do if we want to catch these 2 sides. In the Turkish Cup we would reach the final and unfortunately lose to our arch rivals Fenerbahce. They would beat us 3-2 in the final. They were just far too good for everyone in Turkey this season. But there is some very good news. We were in the Europa League this season and we went and won it, boys. We beat Hoffenheim 4-2 in the final. Beşiktaş are the Europa League champions. What a trophy that is to add to the trophy cabinet. So this is our Europa League winning Beşiktaş side, and it's looking really good on paper. Yilmaz and Zafarilis, Kılıçkay as well, have shown really good growth. However, our plans for season 2 might be slightly controversial. We need to bring the average age of this squad down, so players who are key first team players will be listed for transfer, like Rafa, who's actually our best player, Silo Immobile and Gabriel Paulista will all be available for transfer in the summer, and we will have to replace them with players who are probably not as good, will have higher potential. Now in terms of stats, Immobile was amazing, lads, so we did get at least 1 really good season out of him. He got 28 goals and 5 assists. Fernandez had a great season as well. Rafa, Uche and Kılıçkay were excellent as well. Now before we progress into season number 2, Bolivia was not a happy hunting ground for us. We only had 1 decent player come through the academy in Javi Aguilar, who has got between 76 and 82 potential. There was players in there who were like 65 rated with like 70 to 80 potential. I just don't think they ever would have got a chance of playing first team football. Didn't want to waste any money on them. And in season number 2, we've already decided where we're sending our youth scouts. We're going to Turkey, as we need to have at least 4 Turkish players in this side in the Champions League final. We're looking for centre backs, centre mids and strikers. So we've arrived in season 2 and the board have given us 33 million euros, which is actually a decent budget. And add to that the fact back, we're selling players like Immobile and Rafa, who will bring decent money into the club. I'm fairly confident we can meet all our transfer objectives in season number 2. So lads, wow, what an unbelievably busy transfer window we have had so far. We have made 5 new signings, but we did have to alter our transfer targetation, if that's even a word, a little bit, because we missed out on a player who I really want to sign. Let's just run you through some significant outgoings for the time being before we announce any signings. Ilan Ricardo left the club for 1.4 million euros. Can Keles left the club for 2.4 million euros. We sold Necip Uysal for 340 grand. Then we had 2 massive outgoings which enabled us to make some really significant signings. We cashed in on Rafa, who went to Feyenoord for 51.3 million euros. He was a great player for us, but the money he's brought into the club from his sale has really helped us. And we also sold Ali Al-Musrati to Galatasaray for 31.3 million euros. I really can't see this transfer going down well with Beşiktaş fans. Then so far we have loaned out 3 young players, Sefasari, Demir Tiknaz and Gökhan Asksoy. However, let's finally get into these incomings. Our first signing of the transfer window was Ahmet San Kaplan, who joined the club for 7 million euros from Heidenheim. He's 22-year-old, 73 rated, decent stats, and is a decent centre back. We're actually going to start him in season number 2. We would then go on to sign a striker, Karim Kanate, who joined us from Napoli for 18 million euros. 76 rated, an exciting prospect with excellent stats. He will be Immobile's replacement for season number 2. We then signed Ozan Kabak from Hoffenheim for 14 million euros. He's 25-year-old, 78 rated with Champions League experience, really good stats. He will also be a starting centre back for us going into season number 2. We then signed a goalkeeper, boys. Mile Sivalar joined us from Roma for 21.5 million euros. He's 25-year-old, 80 rated, looks like a really decent goalkeeper. He's a huge upgrade on the goalkeepers we already had. And now time for our marquee signing, boys, and trust me, this is a good one. We signed Kenan Yildiz from Juventus for 40 million euros. He's 20-year-old, 78 rated, has amazing stats, and he's also an exciting prospect. I'm really excited about this signing. And all of a sudden, lads, we've got an absolute raft of high quality young players like Kilikskoy, Yildiz, Kanate, Zafariris, even Kaplan to an extent. We have done really well to get rid of the older players from the squad. Have brought high potential youngsters in who could in fact carry us to a Champions League trophy. Now lads, you may notice that we did not actually replace Rafa in this transfer window, despite saying that we was in the market for an attacking midfielder. That's because my primary target is Can Uzun, who is actually currently out on loan at Monza, meaning we cannot sign him this season. He is an absolutely amazing attacking midfielder. We have used him before in FC25 and he was ridiculous. He is that good. I'm literally going to wait this season out and sign him next season when he's actually available. But we are now left with just 8 million euros in the bank and we're not signing anyone for that money. That is our transfer window completed and our starting 11 is locked in for season number 2. Now selling it Rafa and dropping Immobile to the bench has definitely weakened us slightly, as Rafa was by far our best player. We've managed to bring really good young high potential players in our starting 11 who will only get better over time, and I do think selling Rafa will turn out to be a really good deal for the club in the long run. And my main goal for season number 2 is just developing this squad the best that I can. And because we won the Europa League, lads, we are in fact in the Champions League in season number 2, but I'm not expecting us to tear the Champions League up. Just want us to give a good account of ourselves in the league phase, get as far as we can in the knockouts, but I'm not putting too much pressure on the players. Now our work in the summer of season number 2 is done. We're going to be simulating forward straight through to the end of the season. Let's see if we can improve on a 3rd place finish in the Super League and just give a good account of ourselves in the Champions League. So we have arrived at the end of season number 2, boys, and we have shown some progression as we have finished 2nd in Super League on 81 points. We were 6 points off tabletop-ing Galatasaray, and this means we have got guaranteed qualification for the Champions League next season. All in all, I'd say our performance in the league has been excellent. But oh my god, our performance in the Turkish Cup was horrific. Knocked out in the first round by Rizespor 2-1. Awful. In the Champions League, I was not expecting much. We did get through the league phase. We got to a playoff, but Feyenoord knocked us out 2-1. Hopefully Rafa didn't score the winning goal. Obviously the team we sell Rafa to knocks us out the Champions League. It just had to be. But on a more positive note, look at how strong our starting 11 is now looking. All of our attacking players are well above 80 rated. Yildiz has grown to 84 rated. He's unbelievable. Even our defenders have grown, which was something I wasn't really expecting too much. Now heading into season number 3, Musti at attacking midfield has been excellent and grown to 83 rated, but I'm still going to be going in for Can Ozun. I'm also going to be in the market for a new right back, as Svensson would not accept a new deal and he has actually left the club on a pre-contract. And I think Musi dropping to our bench will definitely help us out, as he can play left wing, right wing and attacking midfield. Just going to point out as well, we are also losing Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He wouldn't accept a new deal. He's 32-year-old. We've allowed him to leave on a free contract. So in terms of stats this season, Kenan Yildiz was absolutely unbelievable, getting 31 goals and 13 assists, really justifying that 40 million was spent on him. Kılıçsoy was excellent as well, getting 25 goals and 4 assists. He's 80 rated and 20-year-old, be a huge player for us in the future. Konate chipped in with 20 goals as well, which we'll love to see. He's been a really good signing as well. And we will also be saying goodbye to Ciro Immobile, as he is retiring at the end of the season. He's been a stalwart for Beşiktaş. So we have arrived in season 3, boys, but we've only been given 34 million euros. Lads, we're having to make a really difficult decision. 30 million euros is just not enough for me to bring Can, Ozan and a new right back to the club. We are going to sell Ernst Muçi. He is 83 rated, 25-year-old, can play all across front line. It's going to be a really big loss for us. He's worth 50.5 million euros, but I need to get Can Ozan into the club. It's only 3 overalls less than Muçi, to be fair. And then we'll have enough money to bring a new right back to the club as well, which ultimately makes us much stronger. It's just another case in this rebuild of short-term pain, long-term gain. So lads, we've once again had a little bit of a clear out in this transfer window with players like Ersin Destanoglu, Mert Gunok, Sefasari, Emre Can Uznan all left the club for a combined 10 million euros. So no time for the big one, lads. We have managed to sell Ernst Muçi. He has gone to the Premier League to Brentford for 79.9 million euros. We've also sent 2 young players out on loan, and we have now got 119 million euros to bring Channels onto the club, a new right back, and I might even bring a new backup striker to the club as well. So lads, we have gone out into the transfer market and we have made 3 new signings, and let's kick things off with the least kept secret of all time. Can Ozan is finally a Beşiktaş player. We have paid 29 million euros for him. 20-year-old, 78 rated, an exciting prospect. He is just an amazing young player in FC25. I then thought we were lacking a good backup striker, so we turned to Enes Ünal of Bournemouth. 29 years old, 78 rated, really experienced striker, and we've signed him for just 12 million euros. And as we know, we needed a new right back as a matter of urgency. We have gone out and brought Thiago Santos to Beşiktaş for 42 million euros from Freiburg. He is 23-year-old, 81 rated, looks like a really good young right back, and he'll have excellent potential as well. And with Santos and Ozan added to our starting 11, this will be the team that takes us into season number 3. And I may have just realised that we've got 6 Turkish players in the team, so Ozan wasn't really necessary. However, I can't see Kabak and Kaplan being endgame players for us. I do think they may need to be replaced at some point in this rebuild. So having Yilmaz, Kılıçsoy, Ozan and Yildiz in the team are almost bankers that they're all going to grow and be really good endgame players for us. So we can kind of afford Kaplan and Kabak to not grow to a Champions League winning level defender. We can always replace them and still have 4 Turkish players in the club. And we do actually still have 29 million euros in the bank, but I'm not going to spend it, lads. I'm going to bring some coaches in, renew the necessary contracts, send our youth scouts off to Turkey again, and we are once again back in the Champions League this season. We did really well getting to the playoff round last season. I think our starting 11 is slightly weaker, but it will benefit us in the long run. So if we could get to the playoff round, maybe even the round of 16 proper this season, I'd be really happy. I don't think there's much more we can do in season 3 but simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. Let's see how Beşiktaş are getting on. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, lads, and we have won our first Super League trophy, winning the league on 88 points, and we didn't lose a single game all season. That's right, lads, Beşiktaş are the Invincibles. Now I don't know if this has ever been done in Turkey before, but what an amazing achievement, scoring 90 goals along the way. This could genuinely be one of our most impressive seasons ever in my time on YouTube. But for some reason we just cannot put a good run together in the Turkish Cup. We were knocked out in the round of 16 by Samsunspor, beat us 2-1. And in the Champions League we'd once again make the playoff round, and we just got a really unlucky draw, lads. We were drawn to Manchester City, one of the best teams in the world, and they would go on to beat us 4-2 over 2 legs. Hopefully next season we can give a better showing of ourselves in the Champions League. So this is the Beşiktaş team that has gone invincible and won the Turkish Super League. That starting 11 is absolutely unbelievable on paper. Our attacking players and midfielders are absolutely unbelievable, but looking at our defence, we could definitely use a little bit of improvement. So in season number 4, I'm willing to invest all of our transfer funds in bringing a world-class centre-back to the club just to help boost our performance in the Champions League. Now 3 players are leaving us at the end of the season. Gabriel Paulista is retiring. He's been been a great servant to the club, and so is Honor Bullock. And we also will be releasing Emre Can Bullock, as he's not really good enough to play for us. And in terms of stats, what a signing Kenan Yildiz has been for us. He got 26 goals and 13 assists, but Konate, Kilicskoi and Ozun were all amazing as well. We have been absolutely immense in season number 3. So we have arrived in season number 4 and we've got 50 million euros in the bank. Now we've got a bit of an issue as we've got quite a few first team players out of contract this season who will all need new contracts, which is going to hamper our ability to bring a world-class centre-back to the club. So I've had an idea. We're going to probably sell Ozan Kabak. We can afford to lose a Turkish player from our starting 11. We'll get around 20 million euros for him. We'll then have around 65 million euros to bring a world-class centre-back to the club, which would be a much better budget. So lads, we have gone out into the transfer market and we have actually made a centre-back signing, and it's a really good one, without having to sell Ozan Kabak, which has really helped me out. We have signed Ilya Zarbane from Strasbourg in France. He is 24-year-old, 82 rated, really good defender with a lot of room to still grow. Not exactly the world-class centre-back we were looking for, but we've got an excellent deal for him, paying just 42 million euros. At 24 years of age, he has got so much room to develop further. Now we've only got 4 million euros left in our bank account, so signing a backup attacking midfielder is slightly unlikely. However, we do have a few players listed for transfer. Let's see how much money we've got once them players have been sold. Now 3 players have been sold, boys, in Uchan, Muleka and Sano, raising around 9 million in profit. We then went back out into the transfer market and did in fact bring in a backup centre attacking midfielder, and we're just going to call him Adil because I cannot pronounce that name. He's 25-year-old, 77 rated with really decent stats, can play left mid and centre mid as well. He'll be a really good backup player for us heading into the new season. We've only paid 11 million euros for his services. And now with only 5 million euros left in our bank account, I'm going to call our transfer window done. There'll be no more signings and we're not looking to sell anyone else. As of right now, our starting 11 is locked in for season number 4. Got a really good team on paper. I'm hoping we can give a better showing in the Champions League, and I don't think we're going to get much better than an invincible season in the Turkish League. But heading into season number 4, I think our bench is looking very strong, the strongest it's ever been. Now with our transfer window done, I don't think there's anything else we can do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 4. Primary goal for this season is just better performance in the Champions League. So we have arrived at the end of season number 4, boys, and we've only gone and done it again. We have won our second Turkish Superliga of the rebuild on 94 points, once again going unbeaten. This means in the Turkish Super League we are 72 games unbeaten. That is absolutely ridiculous. Easily the best one of our sides has ever performed since I've been on YouTube, and that's a second Turkish Super League of the rebuild added to our trophy cabinet. But we just can't seem to make that Turkish Cup final, losing on penalties to Galatasaray, drawing 6-6 on aggregate. Really good game. But we are in fact in another final, boys, as we have made the Champions League final after just 4 seasons with Beşiktaş. We're taking on Real Madrid for a chance to win the trophy. But in the league phase we finished 15th out of all the sides, lads. Once again, not really doing the best, but we did only lose 2 games, which would mean we would have to play a playoff, and we beat Atletico Madrid 5-2 over 2 legs, setting up a round of 16 tie with Barcelona, and we beat them 4-2 over 2 legs. We would then go on to knock Napoli out in the quarterfinals, winning 3-2 but actually losing the second leg. And in the semi-finals we would beat Inter Milan 4-2 over 2 legs, Real Madrid beating Chelsea 8-7 on penalties, set up final against Real Madrid. And this is the team we are taking into the Champions League final, and it has to be said, our attacking options are absolutely ridiculous, with our entire front 4 being 89 or 90 rated, with Fernandez also chipping in at 89 rated. But heading into the final we do have a really strong bench. I think we should have enough to beat Real Madrid. Now in terms of stats, Karim Konate really turned it up this season, getting 36 goals and 4 assists, along with Kilicskoi, who got 31 goals and 9 assists. They were both amazing. Ozun and Yildiz were excellent as well. It's clear to see that our front 4 carried us. Could this front 4 actually be one of the best we have used in FC25? I definitely think so. So let's try and round off an incredible rebuild by beating Real Madrid in the Champions League final. So it is Champions League final time, Beşiktaş versus Real Madrid. But hang on a minute, why are we playing at the Bernabeu? Why do Real Madrid actually have home advantage in the Champions League final? Konate, oh, big chance already. Zafiris, you would not expect him to score. He has actually scored as well. 6 minutes into the Champions League final, Zafiris, an unlikely goal scorer, and we are 1-0 up while I'm just rambling. Militao steps out to close down Konate, leaves a massive gap, and from the edge of the box you have to hand it to him. What a finish from Zafiris. Since we were 1-0 up, there's not even been a shot, I don't think, other than Yildiz. This is Junior. Mbappe could have a chance here.
Nope.
What a block, though. What a block by Zibane. And that is half time. It's half time, boys. 1-0 up. I think we've had a really, really decent half. We've limited Real Madrid to pretty much no chances. We've took our main chance of the game. I'm hopeful we can just hold out in the second half and get this trophy lifted. 6th minute goal from Zafiris. All that separates the two sides. Is that gonna be? That's bounced so well for us. Oh my God, can I finish it? What a save by Courtois. What on earth has just happened with that bounce? Mario Martin has a shot from distance. I had a little thought in the back of my head that we're going to roll into the bottom corner. Mbappe has the ball. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. 20 in-game minutes ago, we've defended so well. Madrid haven't really asked any questions of us, to be honest. Stay on him. Stay on him. Oh no. Come out. What a save. Big moment in this final. Mbappe misses a one-on-one and Bellingham crosses it out for a goal kick. Huge save. Would be a massive moment in this final, like, you know, Yildiz. Through the centre. No. Put in. Konate could be in. Is he onside? He's on. 2-0 to Beşiktaş in the 86th minute, boys. Karim Konate has wrapped up this final, and despite having home advantage, Real Madrid are going to lose the Champions League final. But are Madrid going to have what? Are Madrid going to have one last chance? Mbappe's in. And is it the post? Oh my God. Are we going to have one more chance? Are we going to have one more chance? Konate. Oh my God, Karim Konate wraps the game up. It's 3-0 to Beşiktaş. Mbappe hits the post at one end. We put the ball in the back of the net at the other. And there's the full-time whistle, boys. 2 late goals make it look a lot more convincing than it actually were. But Beşiktaş are the champions of Europe. And now all that's left to do is lift the Champions League trophy. Gedson Fernandes does the honours. And Beşiktaş are the champions of Europe.
I hate Oxford United as they beat my team Bolton Wanderers 2-0 in the playoff final in May, ultimately gaining promotion to the Championship at our expense. I'm just joking, Oxford fans. I don't really hate your club. Now, since gaining promotion, the U's currently sit 19th in the Championship table, just 1 point above the relegation zone. And despite a fairly strong start to their season, they have only won 1 game out of their last 13. And if form doesn't pick up soon, they have got a genuine chance of being relegated back to League One at the first time of asking. Now, one part of me does just want to let Oxford get relegated as they cause me a lot of pain in May, but there is a side of me that wants to save them. So today we are going to jump into FC25, we are going to save Oxford United, bring them up through the leagues with the end goal of winning the Champions League trophy. Now, if you do enjoy the content, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel as we are trying to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's now jump into FC25 and save Oxford United. So this is the Oxford United team we have loaded into in FC25. On initial inspection, it definitely doesn't look that bad. We've got a pretty decent starting 11. We've got a decent bench of a couple of 70 rated players. However, I can't lie, boys, the personnel needs switching around in the starting 11, and I think this formation is a little bit too defensive for Oxford, so we are going to switch things up a bit. So I've had a play about with the formation and the starting 11, and this will be the Oxford United team to take us into season number 1. We've opted for a 4-4-1-1, a little bit more attacking as it swaps out a CDM for an attacking midfielder, which should improve our goal output. Now, this formation change does see players like Brannigan, Sibley and Ter Avest come into the starting 11 along with Greg Lee, and that does help us out significantly as you know, on this channel in season 1 transfers are banned, so we are stuck with the players we have got. Now, some of the better players at the club are Cameron Brannigan, who is Mr. Oxford United himself, 70 rated, 28-year-old and a truly fantastic player. We also have stalwart captain Elliot Moore, 27-year-old and 70 rated, won't be an end-game player for us, but will do a job for us right now. We also have some decent looking younger players like Louis Sibley, who is 68 rated and 22-year-old and can play numerous positions. We've got Tyler Goodrum, who is 20-year-old and 67 rated. This guy has got a massive future in real life. It is very encouraging to see that we've got so many decent young players at the club who may even be here when we get to the Champions League final. Now, when it comes to picking a tactic, we regularly bounce between counter-attack, tiki-taka. We never really use the pressing tactical preset, which I think would actually work for Oxford United. Oxford's high pressing at Wembley completely dismantled Bolton. I want to try and implement that in every single game in the Championship to help get us to the Premier League and avoid relegation to League One. Now, in season 1, Oxford only start with £2 million, which isn't a massive issue issue right now as we can't sign anyone at all. But we need to bring some coaches in and send our youth scouts out, which is going to probably use all of our money. And given the fact we have got quite a few first team players out of contracts at the end of the season, we may have to say goodbye to one or two of these players. Now, in recent weeks, I've been asking you, where should I send my youth scouts? And keep the comments coming down below, as it's really interesting to see where you want me to send the youth scouts. But today we are going to go with Yoshi Lover 46's comment, and we are going to be sending our youth scouts to Canada to try and find the next Alphonso Davies. And I'm going to stick a little rule onto this rebuild. We have to have at least one Canadian youth academy player in our starting 11 when we get in the Champions League final, or the rebuild is void. Now, I don't really think there's much more we can do in season number 1, as we've picked a team, picked a formation, analysed the squad, the finances, and sent our youth scouts to Canada. All that's really left to do now is simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 1, and hopefully at the end of the season Oxford United are still in the Championship. So we have arrived at the end of season number 1, and we secured a 14th place finish in the Championship on 61 points, which I think is really impressive. Nowhere near the relegation zone, but we were still 16 points off the playoffs, so there is some work to be done if we're going to get Oxford United in the Premier League. However, I think if you'd ask any Oxford fan in the world, would they take a 14th place finish this season, every single one would say yeah. In the FA Cup we made the 4th round, but unfortunately lost to Premier League side Crystal Palace 3-1. No shame in that at all. And this is how the Oxford United team is looking at the end of season number 1. It is looking okay, plenty of players over 70 rated, but only just, with the highest rated player at the club being goalkeeper Cumming, who is 73 rated. I think we have got a pretty bang average Championship team on paper, so we are going to need some reinforcements in season number 2, and I think we are going to need a new centre back and a new left back as an absolute priority in season number 2. And there's a serious lack of actual central midfielders at the club. We have only got Brannigan and El Mizuni, that is it. Obviously players like Will Vaulks can play as a centre mid, but they are naturally defensive midfielders, so I do think I'd like to bring in a very promising young centre midfielder along with a left back and a centre back. Then I think our squad would look a lot more competitive heading into season 2. However, this is all completely budget dependent. Because we've finished 14th in the Championship, I'm predicting about £4 million we're going to get, meaning we will have to be savvy in the loan market and in the free agent market, as I don't think we'll be able to afford an actual cash signing. However, I could be wrong. Now, in terms of stats, Mark Harris had a great season, getting 28 goals and 10 assists, effectively keeping us up with his goal returns. Ruben Rodriguez had a good season as well, getting 12 goals and 15 assists, and Cameron Brannigan was decent from midfield, getting 10 and 6. But after that, boys, hardly any involvements at all from the rest of the squad, which needs to be addressed. Now, we did send our youth scouts off to Canada, and we did find some exciting players, but unfortunately they are still 1 or 2 seasons away from being promoted to the senior team. Pick of the bunch was David Coleman, who's a 54 rated cam with 88 to 94 potential and 5-star skill moves. However, we are still 2 seasons at least away from seeing him get promoted to the senior team. We have also found a decent right midfielder in Daniel Clark, who's got 81 to 87 potential, and he's 59 rated with 5-star weak foot and a whole host of play styles. As soon as he turns 16, we will promote him to the senior team and get him out on loan. And we've also got a pretty decent right back in Frank Gordson, who has got 75 to 91 potential, and he is 64 rated. We are going to promote him straight to the senior team and get him straight out on loan, and hopefully when he returns from his loan, he's good enough to start for Oxford United. So we have arrived in season number 2, and we do have £5 million in the bank, which is definitely a budget I can work with. So let's get to work on bringing some players to the football club. So boys, I did say in this transfer window we will have to utilise loan to buys and also free agent signings if we're going to majorly improve the team, and so far we've actually done that. So kicking off our transfer window, we have signed midfielder Mohamedou Diawara from Olympique Lyonnais on a 2-season loan with an optional future fee of £2.4 million, which I think is a very good deal. He is 20 years old, he's 70 rated, he's got really nice stats, he's got good potential in this game as well, and he is going to slot nicely into the centre of our midfield. After a quick scout of the free agents list, we saw that CJ Egan Riley was out of contract. He is 22 years old, he's 71 rated, and plays centre back and right back, and he has decent stats, and he has signed a 4-year deal, and I think this is a really decent free agent signing, especially at Championship level, and that leaves us with quite a bit of funds to bring in a left back, and I will also see if I can sign an attacking midfielder as well in this window. But before we sign any more players, we have had a few outgoings I need to run you through. Stuart Finlay has left the club for 650 grand. We have managed to loan out exciting Canadian youngster Frank Gordson to Cardiff on a 2-season loan. We've also sold Matt Ingram to Swansea for 850 grand. Sam Long leaves the club, he's off to Portugal for 630 grand. And we have also sold Kyle Edwards to Bristol City for 990 grand, leaving us with 7 million in the bank. Now, priority is a left back. If we have any available funds after signing a left back, we'll be looking to bring an attacking midfielder to the club as well in this window. Now, we have identified the left back we want to bring to Oxford United in this transfer window, and it is American fullback Caleb Wiley, who is currently playing in the French league. He's 20 years old, he's 71 rated, he's got really nice stats, 3-star, and he is also very affordable, boys, as we are going to be paying anywhere from 2.9 to 3.9 million for his services. Would leave us a little bit of change left over for an attacking midfielder, and he would be a huge upgrade in the left back position for us. And Caleb Wiley signs for 2.9 million, which I think is a fantastic deal, and this leaves us with 4 million still in the bank to bring an attacking midfielder to the football club. Now, signing an attacking midfielder turned out to be a seriously difficult task. We had around 3 million to play with, but we just could not agree terms with any club for any of our targets, so we have taken a little bit of a risk with this signing. We have loaned in Amari Kellyman from Chelsea on a 2-year loan with an optional future fee of 1.9 million. He's 19 years old, he's 66 rated with OK stats. This signing is definitely a risky one, as he is 2 overalls lower rated than Ruben Rodriguez, but he is 10 years younger and he has got pretty good potential in FC25. We are going to throw Kellyman straight in at the deep end, and he is going to be our starting attacking midfielder going into season number 2. And that means this will be the Oxford United team to take us into season number 2. The squad is definitely looking much stronger on paper. You may notice we have changed some things around. We did change Louis Sibley's position from a right mid to a centre mid. He will be our starting midfielder going into season number 2. Diawara comes in midfield as well, as he's got higher potential than Brannigan and El Mizuni. Our back line's looking stronger as well with the additions of Egan Riley and Wiley, so I do think we've made some excellent signings. We look a lot more solid. Don't think we're yet ready to finish in the playoffs, but I definitely think we've got a squad capable of getting into the top half at least this season. Now, with our transfer window completed, I don't think there's anything left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 2, and like we've already discussed, I would love a top half finish. So we have arrived at the end of season number 2 and we have finished 7th in the championship, just 2 points off 6th place Norwich. So close to securing a place in the playoffs, which I am kind of gutted about, but the fact that we have jumped up 7 positions in just 1 season is fantastic, and if we can get the signings right in season number 3, we could even go for automatic promotion. However, in the FA Cup, we had a pretty disappointing showing as we went out in the 3rd round 3-2 to Norwich. Not good enough. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 2. I do think now we've got a very strong championship level side. Most of our players in our starting 11 are mid 70 rated, which we love to see. Kellyman has grown to 70 rated as well, which is a big boost for us. Our bench is also looking pretty decent as well, which we love to see. However, heading into season number 3, I think we're going to have to improve potentially the right side of our team, as Terravest is 71 rated. Dembele is currently injured, but he is also 71 rated. Both are the weak links in our team, but I kind of want to try and incorporate one of our Canadian youth players out on the right side of our team. So we may recall the young lad we sent out on loan to Cardiff and give him a shot as our first choice right back, but he is still below 70 rated, so I'm a little bit unsure. But one thing for definite is we will definitely be signing a right midfielder in this window. Now, we did promote 3 players from our youth academy this season. Daniel Clark has been promoted to the senior team and he has gone out on loan for 2 seasons. Brett Cooper has been promoted to the senior team at 16-year-old, 62 rated. He's listed for loan, and the same can be said for Mike Perry, not the UFC fighter. He is 64 rated, 17-year-old, and he's also going to go out on loan next season. As we can see, Frank Gordson has had a decent loan spell at Cardiff. He's now 68 rated and 18-year-old. Can't lie, boys, I am kind of tempted to just throw him straight into our starting 11, as he did have really good potential. And as you know, we do need to have at least 1 Canadian youth academy player in our starting 11 when it gets to the Champions League final, and the sooner we get a youth player into our team, the better. And in terms of stats, it was once again Mark Harris who was our best player, getting 28 goals and 14 assists. So we were outstanding in season 2, very unlucky to miss out on the playoffs. Let's get into season 3, bolster the squad and make a push for at least the playoffs, maybe even automatic promotion. So we have arrived in season number 3 and we have once again got £5 million in the bank, and we are kicking off our transfer window, boys, with a free agent signing, as Alfie Gilchrist has joined the club on a 5-year deal. He is 22 years old and 72 rated with really decent stats. He is 7 years younger than Elliot Moore and 1 overall point less rated, meaning he's definitely got higher potential, and for a free transfer, I think this is actually a very good pickup. And since signing Alfie Gilchrist, we have been very busy in selling some deadwood from our squad, and I'll run you through the outgoings right now. Kicking things off, Premysław Placheta has left the club for Bromby for 1.3 million. Will Volks has also left the club for 900 grand. Greg Lee is out the door for 650 grand. Peter Kioso has left the club for 1.5 million. Jordan Fornelly has left the club for 750 grand. And we have managed to loan out both young Canadian wingers. Brett Cooper's out to Plymouth for 2 seasons, and Mike Perry will join Sheffield United for 2 seasons as well. Now, we do have £9 million in the bank, and we're going to put all of this money into signing a right midfielder. And the right midfielder we have identified to bring to Oxford United is Lewis Koumas, who is currently playing for Brentford. He is 20 years old, 73 rated, really nice stats, 4-star weak foot, but it's going to be a costly deal as Brentford could ask for anywhere between 5.8 and 7.8 million pounds. He is having an excellent loan spell with Stoke City in real life, and I want to continue his development as a permanent Oxford United player. And we smash Oxford United's transfer record, paying £6 million to bring Koumas to the club. And after the signing of Koumas, we're left with £2 million in the bank. They're not looking to sell absolutely anyone else at all, so I think that could be our transfer window done. And with Gilchrist and Koumas added to the starting 11 along with Gordson, this will be the Oxford United team to take us into season 3. We are looking very, very strong on paper now. I think we've definitely got a chance of finishing in the playoffs with an outside chance of getting automatic promotion. So I don't really think there's much more we can do other than simulate forward straight through to the end of season 3. I think we have spent our money wisely, and I would be disappointed if we're not in at least the playoffs this season. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, boys, and we have only gone and secured promotion to the Premier League, finishing second in the Championship on 90 points, scoring 94 goals, only losing 8 times all season. And in season 4, Oxford United will be in the Premier League. Now, in the FA Cup, we could only make the 4th round as Brighton knocked us out 2-0. No real shame in that though. And before we check the team, we have had 2 really exciting youth prospects come through our academy. First being 16-year-old goalkeeper Nick Allen, who is 60 rated, and he had between 86 and 94 potential. And David Coleman has finally reached 16 years old. He is 61 rated. He had anywhere from 88 to 92 potential, and he's already got a loan deal lined up for the next 2 seasons. So this is the Oxford United team that has got us promotion to the Premier League, and it is starting to look really strong on paper. The likes of Wiley, Egan Riley and Koumas are all touching 80 rated at 79 rated apiece. The rest of the squad is looking really strong. Now, at the start of season 4, we will have to make Kellyman and Diawara's transfers permanent, as they are both only in on loan, but we're only paying 2.6 million for Diawara and 1.7 million for Kellyman, which is really, really good business. Now, looking at the rest of the squad, obviously the right back is easily the weakest part of our team, but Gordson has had a really decent season in terms of development. He's only 19 years old and he will keep improving. So I think looking at the team, I am going to look to spend most of our money on a new goalkeeper to replace Cumming, as at 75 rated. Don't think he's going to do that much of a job for us in the Premier League. And if we have any money remaining after bringing a new goalkeeper to the club, I would like to bring a central midfielder in to replace Sibley, but I'm not too sure how much money we're going to get in season 4, so I can't make any promises on where we're going to improve the squad. Now, in terms of stats, it was actually Lewis Koumas who was our best player this season. What a signing he's turned out to be. He got 27 goals and 6 assists from the right midfield, which is absolutely insane. So season 3 was a massive success. We are now officially a Premier League team. Let's get into season 4 and make the necessary signings to keep Oxford United up. So we have arrived in season 4 and we have only got 33 million to spend, so I think we're only going to be able to make both loan signings permanent and then potentially a new goalkeeper. However, we are wasting no time making these loan signings permanent. Mohamedou Diawara is 22-year-old, 78 rated, worth 18.5 million, and we are going to buy him for just 2.4 million. And we have completed the permanent signing of Diawara, and he's signed a 5-year deal. Now, up next, it's time to make Amari Kellyman's loan permanent. He is 21-year-old, 75 rated, worth 13 million, and we are going to sign him for just 1.95 million. Now, Kellyman wanted big wages as he's taking on 35 grand a week, but he has signed a 5-year deal. And that leaves us with 26 million in the bank to bring a new goalkeeper to the club, but we may look to sell 1 or 2 players before we go in for a goalkeeper. Now, before we make any further signings, some players have left the club. Will Goodwin has left the club for 1.4 million. Ed McGinty has left the club for 1.2 million. Idris El Masouni has left the club for 4.1 million. Ruben Rodriguez has left the club for 1.5 million. And we have loaned out Nick Allen for the next 2 seasons, and his potential is insane. And this leaves us with 32 million pounds to bring in a new goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper we have identified to bring to Oxford United is Martin van der Voort, who is currently playing for RB Leipzig. He is 25-year-old, he's 81 rated, his stats are brilliant, plenty of play styles, and the most important of all, he is affordable, as we're going to pay anywhere from 22 to 27 million pounds for him. He is a massive upgrade in the goalkeeper position, so let's bring him to the club. And van der Voort joins the club for 22 22.5 million, then I think we've got a pretty decent deal for him. After the signing of Van der Vaart, we're left with £7 million in the bank, and I don't really think with this money we're going to be able to sign anyone else in this transfer window, as we do have some contracts to renew. We do want to bring a further few more coaches in, and I really don't think 7 million is enough to bring anyone of any kind of quality into the club, and that means this will be the Oxford United team to take us into season 4. I do expect quite a few of these players to reach 80 rated this season, like Egan Riley, Wiley, Diawara and Kumas. However, I do think we have got a big battle on our hands to actually stay in the Premier League. If we do stay up, it will be an absolutely massive achievement. Now, we won't be looking to sell anyone else in this transfer window, so as far as I'm concerned, all our business is done. If anything else takes place, it will be youth players leaving the club on loan. So as of right now, we will be simulating forward straight through to the end of season 4. We're going to keep this transfer window short and sweet, and hopefully we can keep Oxford United in the Premier League. So we have arrived at the end of season number 4, boys, and in the back of my mind, relegation was a real possibility. Well, what do I know, as we have finished 10th in our first season in the Premier League on 49 points, achieving a top half finish, finishing above Manchester United, which isn't really a hard task these days, and that is absolutely massive. We have set the foundations with no need to build on this and start trying to get Oxford United into Europe. That is mad to say. And in the FA Cup, boys, we actually won the competition, beating Arsenal 3-2 on penalties after drawing 2-2, and Oxford United are FA Cup champions. Absolutely insane, boys, as this is the Oxford United team that has secured a top half finish and won the FA Cup. Loads of our players are now above 80 rated, like Kumas, Kellyman, Diawara, Wiley, Egan Riley and Van der Vaart. We've only got 4 players in the starting 11 who are under 80 rated, and Goodrum, Sibley and Gordson, all their positions in the team are under threat. We have got a youth player returning from loan who will be taking Goodrum's place in the starting 11, and then heading into season number 5, we will be looking to bring a central midfielder and right back to the club if we have enough money, which I probably don't think we are going to do. However, Gordson is showing excellent development season on season, so if we don't have enough money for a right back, it's not the end of the world. And the academy player who will be our first choice left midfielder from next season is Mike Perry, who has been at Sheffield United. He's 19 years old and 75 rated, showing really good development, and we are going to trust him as our starting left midfielder next season. Now, in terms of stats, Mark Harris was excellent, getting 29 goals and 7 assists. He has been a very solid striker for us. Elliman and Kumas both had good seasons as well, but after that, not many goals from the rest of the squad. So what an unbelievable season 4 was. We are the defending FA Cup champions heading into season 5, and let's try to build on this top half finish. So we have arrived in season 5, and what is our reward for finishing 10th and winning the FA Cup? Just £21 million. The Oxford United board are taking the mick. So as it stands right now, we can't even afford to replace Sibley in midfield, which is really disappointing. We are going to have a scan through the squad, see who's available to be sold, and hopefully we can raise some funds, because that transfer budget is a disgrace. So we have been very busy off camera shifting some deadwood out of Oxford United to enable us to make some signings, and I will run you through the outgoings right now. Stefan Negru has joined Sheffield Wednesday for £1 million. We have had to sell one of our academy graduates, Brett Cooper, for £4.3 million just to raise some funds. Owen Dale leaves us for £1.3 million. Saliki Dembele leaves the club for £2.3 million. Kieran Brown leaves the club for £1.4 million. And we have also managed to loan out 3 of our academy graduates. Hopefully they come back pushing for a first team place. So we now have a measly £26 million in the bank to bring in a central midfielder. Now, we have managed to bring a central midfielder to the club, and all things considered, I think we've actually made a fantastic signing with the limited funds that we had, as we have brought in Ayoub Bouadi from Hoffenheim for £23 million. He is 20-year-old, 77 rated, has really decent stats, and he is also an exciting prospect, and I have no doubt by the end of this season he'll be 82, 83 rated. But we are left with just £2 million in the bank. There's no way we can sign absolutely anyone else. That's probably our transfer window done, and that would mean this is the Oxford United team to go into season number 5. And do you know what? In terms of overall, we are actually slightly weaker heading into the new season, but Perry and Bouadi, who have been added to the starting 11, will definitely grow by loads this season, as they're both exciting prospects, and I'm hopeful players like Kumas, Kellyman, Diawara, Wiley, Egan Riley and Van der Vaart continue their growth rates, so at the end end of the season, we've got quite a few mid-80 rated players in the team. And despite the fact we are lacking a decent backup striker, we do have plenty of options on the bench. And we are kicking off season 5 with a narrow Community Shield defeat to Arsenal, as they got revenge for the FA Cup final, beating us 2-1 at Wembley. And because we won the FA Cup in season 4, this season we are actually in the Europa League. We've got some interesting ties against the likes of Braga, Real Sociedad and Frankfurt, so it will be really interesting to see how we get on in this competition. Personally, right now with the squad we've got, I would just be happy getting to the round of 16. Now our transfer window is officially done. We're not looking to sell or sign anyone else because the board have shafted us with a shocking budget. I will say it again. So all that's left to do now really is simulate forward straight through to the end of season 5 and just hopefully our youngsters have grown substantially so we can make a push for the Champions League in season 6. So we have arrived at the end of season number 5, boys, and we've actually secured a 7th place finish in the Premier League, improving on last season. We finished on 59 points and we was only 5 points off 4th place Manchester United. With the right additions in season 6, maybe, just maybe, we can get into the Champions League. Now our defence of the FA Cup was appalling as Championship QPR knocked us out in the 4th round 2-1. However, we was excellent in the Europa League, reaching the semi-finals where unfortunately we were knocked out 3-0 on aggregate by Napoli. However, I think we were excellent in the Europa League, showing we can compete in Europe. So this is how the Oxford United team is looking at the end of season number 5. So many players now high 80 rated. The team is definitely starting to look very strong on paper. Harry has had a great season in terms of development, as he is now 80 rated at 20-year-old. He is definitely someone to look out for. But going into season 6, where do we want to improve this team? Well, I definitely want to bring in a centre-back to replace Gilchrist at the back, as he is now 26-year-old and 80 rated. I think he'd be more suited to a backup role. Now, in terms of stats, Mark Harris continues to impress, scoring 34 goals and getting 6 assists. Kumas was outstanding, 22 goals and 11 assists. He is one of the best players in the Premier League. And finally, we will be saying goodbye to Mr. Oxford United, Cameron Brannigan. He is retiring at the end of the season and he has been an unbelievable servant to Oxford United. We've arrived in season 6, boys, and the board are killing us. We've only got 26 million in the bank. How are we supposed to progress with Oxford United with no money? Oh, this is so frustrating, boys, honestly. I had such big plans for season 6 and they are now completely in the bin. How am I supposed to get this team in the Champions League? We have got so many first team players out of contracts at the end of the season. That's going to take up about £5 million of our budget. Oh, they've completely killed us, boys. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to go away off camera, which contracts to renew, how to raise a bit of money. Genuinely though, we might not be able to sign anyone. We've renewed the relevant contracts. We've got £19 million in the bank. Honestly, boys, I don't think £19 million replaces Gilchrist at all in our starting 11. I'm really getting bored of selling players who I want to drop to the bench and be rotation players because we don't have enough money to bring anyone in. We've just got to the semi-final of the Europa League and finished 7th in the Premier League, and we've been given 26 million to improve the team. It's impossible. So I have scoured the transfer window high and wide. There's no way with 19 million in the bank we are bringing a centre-back into the football club who actually gets into the starting 11. So no one will be coming in this window who actually gets into our first team, but it is nice to see Gordon has reached 80 rated, so everyone in the starting 11 is above 80 rated. We just have to bank on our youngsters who are starting week in, week out to continue developing, and hopefully they can work a bit of magic and push us into the Champions League. Looking at our bench, we are seriously lacking a backup striker, as Gatlin or Donker is not good enough. We're going to use this 19 million to bring a backup striker to the football club. Oh, boys, you don't understand how annoyed I am. We're even struggling to sign a decent backup striker. We've already gone in for Jay Stansfield and Armando Broyo. We just can't get the deals over the line. So we're going for our third option now, which is going to be Sinclair Armstrong. He's 26-year-old, 77 rated. He is decent, will be a decent backup striker. He's someone we can definitely afford. Hooray! We're going to be paying anywhere from 11.7 to 14.6 million for him. He wasn't my first and he wasn't my second choice backup striker, but he is much better than Gatlin or Donker, and I do think he will do a job off the bench. And Sinclair Armstrong is in for £12 million, and that's going to be our transfer window done, boys, as we are left with a measly £7 million in the bank. I don't even think we can bring a decent rotation player in with that money. So that will mean this will be the Oxford United team that takes us into season number. We do have a very strong team on paper. We have got some of the best players in the Premier League playing for us, like Wiley, Kumas and Van der Voort. I just wish we could have signed a centre-back in this window. Our bench does look strong, to be fair. We've got so many options. I do think these lads can get us into the Champions League, if I'm honest. We just need to be consistent, beat the teams around us, but knowing our luck, we'll qualify for the Champions League and the board will give us £30 million. And this season we are in the Conference League, boys, and some of our standout standout fixtures in the league phase are Stade Rennais at home, Hearts away and Feyenoord away. So the ability gap between the Europa League and Conference League is definitely showing. If we can get to the semi-final of the Europa League, I don't see any reason why we can't be one of the favourites to win the Conference League this year. Let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 6 and see how we got on. So we have arrived at the end of season number 6, and boys, we are playing Champions League football in season 7, as we have actually finished second in the Premier League, a whopping 12 points clear of 5th place Liverpool. We were 11 points behind eventual winners Manchester City, but I really don't care, boys. Against all the odds stacked against us this season, we have actually qualified for the Champions League, and we're the second best team in England. That's insane. In the FA Cup, we made the 5th round, but once again lost to lower league opposition as Bristol City beat us 2-1. However, we were the winners of the UEFA Conference League, beating Club Brugge 3-1 in the final. So we've now got an FA Cup and Conference League in our trophy cabinet. So this is how the Oxford United team is looking at the end of season 6, and this squad is looking excellent. Wiley and Kumas are now over 90 rated, with Kellerman not far behind 89 rated. But looking at the team, it's so obvious where we need to improve. We need new centre-backs, as they are just not at an high enough level. But as we know, the board have been so ridiculous with the money they've been giving us. Surely finishing second and winning the Conference League should give us a massive budget so we can finally bolster our defence. And in terms of stats, Mark Harris continues to impress, getting 28 goals and 5 assists. I really wasn't expecting Mark Harris to be this good. He's 31, he's 87 rated, and he's going from strength to strength. So what a roaring success season 6 was. Let's now get into season 7 and get Oxford United ready for Champions League football. So we have arrived in season 7, boys, and the board have given us 77 million to improve our squad. Now, despite the fact we finished second in the Premier League and won the Conference League, I do think this budget is a little bit stingy. However, we will finally be able to bring a real world-class centre-back to the club, and that's all that matters. And the centre-back we've identified to bring to Oxford United is William Paco, who is currently playing for Manchester United. He's 28-year-old, 84 rated, got really good defensive stats and plenty of play styles, and he's actually very affordable, as we're going to be paying anywhere from 37 to 46 million pounds for his services. He would instantly be the best centre-back at the club, and he is a huge upgrade on Egan Riley and Gilchrist. And William Paco joins the club for 42 million, and I think we've got a pretty decent deal for him. And after the signing of Paco and renewing quite a few contracts, we're left with just 18 million in the bank. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that 18 million brings in a player who can even get on our bench, so for now, I'm just going to call the transfer window finished. I'm really happy with the one signing we have made, as it's massively improved our defence, and that will be the only business we do in this window, as we have not let anyone leave. We want to keep the squad together. But as we know, this season we debut in the Champions League, and in the league phase we have got some really interesting ties, including Napoli away, Juventus away, Marseille away. Got a very strong squad on paper, so I am expecting us to definitely get through the league phase, and I do want to try and get to at least the quarterfinals. So we are once again going to be keeping it short and sweet in our build up to season 7. Let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of the season, see how we got in the Premier League and the Champions League. So we've arrived at the end of season number 7, boys, and we have secured yet another second place finish. However, we did narrow the gap to Manchester City by 3 points. It was very, very tight at the top of the league this season, as only 9 points separated 7th from 2nd, so when the standard of the league has definitely improved. I will take a second place finish, and that's guaranteed Champions League football in season 8. In the FA Cup, we made the 5th round, but once again fell short to lower league opposition. And in the Champions League, we made the round of 16 proper, where unfortunately we lost to Borussia Dortmund 3-2 over 2 legs, so when there is still work to be done if we're going to get to a Champions League final. So this is how the Oxford United team is looking at the end of season number 7. Really, really strong team on paper. The lowest rated player in the side is 84 rated, which we love to see. We were massively hampered this season though, as Buwadi was injured for 6 months in January. I mean, he missed the entire second half of the season. And at 88 rated, 23-year-old with amazing stats, we have really, really missed his presence in midfield. So heading into season number 8, I still have an eye on improving our defence, as our 2 lowest rated players are Gilchrist and Gordson, both 84 rated. I am going to look to bring another centre-back to the club in this transfer window, as I would like another world-class centre-back at the back, maybe someone who's 87, 88 rated. And looking at our bench, I do think we need a better backup full-back than Curry, so if we have any remaining funds after signing a centre-back, we will look to bring in a backup full-back. So we have arrived in season number 8, and the board have given us 88 million to improve our squad, which should help us bring in a centre-back and a backup full-back. And kicking off our season 8 transfer window, boys, we've actually actually dipped into the free agent market to bring in a backup left back, and we have found a real gem in Philip Martin, who's 80 rated and 21-year-old. Really, really nice stats, showing great potential as well. Signed on a free on a 4-year deal, saved us a hell of a lot of money in the process, and I'm really, really happy with this signing. So now we can plow all of this 87 million into signing a new centre-back. And the centre-back we have identified to bring to Oxford United is Antonio Silva, who is currently playing for Brentford. He is 87 rated, 27-year-old, insane stats and plenty of player styles. And we are going to be paying anywhere from 64 to 80 million pounds for him, which is actually a very reasonable deal, and he would really elevate the level of our back line. And Antonio Silva is in for 70 million, and what a signing this is. And with Silva added to that back line, just tell me that team doesn't look 10 times better. And I genuinely think this team has got a chance of winning the Champions League this season. And there will also be no further outgoings in this window, as we're happy with the squad we've got. Now in the Champions League this season, we have got some very difficult games in the league phase, like Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund. So it will be a challenge to get through the league phase, but we definitely should be. Let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 8. Keep this transfer window short and sweet. Try to win some silverware. So we have arrived at the end of season number 8, and we have won the Premier League, boys, finishing on 79 points, level on points with Liverpool, but our superior goal difference is Oxford United crowned the champions of England. What a story. But since we won the FA Cup, we have been awful in this competition, as Brighton knocked us out in the 4th round 2-1. But let's put that behind us, as we are in the Champions League final and we will be taking on Bayern Munich. In the league phase, we came top of the table on 22 points, winning 7 of our 8 games. We didn't lose a single game. We were the top scorers, and that put us in an excellent position heading into the knockout phase, where we squaws past AS Roma in a very narrow 5-4 win over 2 legs. That second leg looked like an amazing game. In the quarterfinals though, we bounced PSG 6-1 over 2 legs, and we would go on to do the same against Manchester City, beating them 6-1 over 2 legs for setting up a final with Bayern Munich. So this is the Oxford United team that has got us to a Champions League final, and just look at it, boys. 7 of our starting 11 are 90 rated or above, 86 being the lowest rated in the entire team. This starting 11 could easily be one of the best we have ever had headed into a Champions League final. And at the start of the rebuild, I did give us a rule that we had to have 1 Canadian Youth Academy player in our starting 11 for the Champions League final, but we've gone 1 better and we've actually got 2. And now all that's left to do, boys, is head to the Champions League final and take on Bayern Munich. Now here we go, boys. It's Champions League final time, live from the Estadio de Benfica. Let's get the job done. Kellyman, what a ball! Kumas is it? Oh, he's offside, he's offside. I have to say though, boys, I'm really, really happy with the start we've made to this game. Diawara, provided that's a brilliant move. Is it the post? That is a very promising sign for us. If it the post, we should probably be winning. We've been by far the better side, which is going to see us go to half-time. It's 0-0 in this final. We've had 1 really big chance and hit the post. Chances have been pretty scarce beyond that, and hopefully we can find the opening goal sooner rather than later. Right, boys, let's do it. Kellyman really hasn't been in this final. He's 94 rated. We really need to get... Oh, that's unbelievable. Inside. Oh, that's a good tackle. Maybe... Oh, that's a really poor ball. Harris, what a turn. Mark Harris. Oh my god. Oh my god. That had to go in. He's been so clinical in every single season of this rebuild, and the biggest chance in his Oxford United career goes wide. Diawara. Kuma. Oh, what? Come on. Come on. Come on. There's no excuse not to score here. Kumas. Yes, get in there. I thought I'd done the wrong pass. I was trying to square it to Kellyman, but Harris makes no mistake. In the 72nd minute, it is 1-0 to Oxford United. Do not even bother asking me where the Bayern Munich defence were. They were absolutely non-existent. 89 minutes now on the clock, boys. We are almost home and dry in this Champions League final, but Bayern keeping all the possession. What a tackle. That's surely the game. Harris, Kellyman's in. There's a sweat on. 21. Oh my god, as if he's missed that. But it doesn't matter, boys, as we have won the Champions League. We've missed some gilt-edged chances along the way, but who cares? A Mark Harris goal means Oxford United are the champions of Europe, and all that is now left to do is watch Oxford United lift the Champions League trophy. What a story it's been. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Malaga were actually competing in the Champions League, where they were seconds away from a semi-final place. But recent times have been hard on Malaga, dropping as low as the Spanish third tier for the first time since 1998. However, now comfortably mid-table in the Spanish second division, I think it's time we get Malaga back to where they belong. So today we are jumping into FC25, we are taking charge of Malaga, and we are ultimately going to win them a Champions League trophy. Now, if you do enjoy the content, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it does really help me out. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. So let's now jump into FC25 and get this Malaga rebuild on the way. So this is the Malaga team we have loaded into an FC25, and let's be brutally honest, this team really isn't the best on paper. Now, the best player at the club is goalkeeper Alfonso Herrero, who is actually 30-year-old and 74 rated, followed by our second best player at the club, Nelson Monte, 28-year-old, 72 rated. And we've also got a 32-year-old, 71 rated CDM, Luis Smith. All of the best players at Malaga are aging and won't develop by much more. But in terms of young players, we do have a very exciting young player. Antonito Cordero is 17-year-old and 65 rated with 4-star skill moves. He is definitely someone to keep your eye on in this rebuild. And we do also have an exciting right midfielder as well. David Larrubia is 68 rated, 22-year-old with really decent stats and a few play styles. He's another young player to keep your eye on. But looking through the rest of the squad, lads, it really isn't the best. Pretty much all of our best players are aging, which is a real cause for concern. We only have 3 players at the club above 70 rated. I think we're going to be in for quite a rough start to this rebuild. And we also have an absolute hatful of players out of contracts at the end of the season, literally over half of the squad. So first things first, let's sort out the formation and starting 11. And we're not going with a 4-4-2 in this rebuild at all. And the formation we are going to go for in this rebuild is one we have never used before. 3-1-4-2 formation. I think this formation gives us good defensive solidarity, as it can be turned into a back 5 out of possession. But in possession, it's a very forward-thinking, attacking formation. And I genuinely want to play exciting football as Malaga's manager. And the way we're going to play is actually with a balanced approach in everything that we do. You may remember I used this in a recent rebuild, and we had excellent results with the balanced tactical preset. So I'm going to give it another trial in this rebuild. Hopefully, once again, it can do the business for us. Now, Malaga start off with 7 million euros, and we definitely need some signings. Now, Molina and Luis Smith are over 30-year-old, along with Galilei. So I think it's essential we bring a young, promising centre-mid and centre-back into the club in this transfer window. And if we have any remaining funds, I would like to bring a striker to the club as well, as both of our strikers aren't really at the level to fire us to La Liga. Can we stretch 7 million that far? I think we can, using loan to buys and potentially free agents. So lads, we have been very busy at the start of this transfer window, and we have made 3 signings who I think make us a much better team. Now, the first signing we made was a young centre-back from Real Madrid. Jacobo joins us on a 2-season loan with an optional future fee of 1.25 million euros. He's 19-year-old, 65 rated, 6'5", and got very good defensive stats. With good potential in FC25, hopefully he's got a long progressive future as a Malaga player. We then loaned in a striker who I'm really excited to use. Iker Bravo joins us from Udinese on a 2-season loan with an optional future fee of 1.4 million euros. He's 19 years old, 66 rated, 6 foot with decent progressive stats. Like Jacobo, he's another player who I'm hoping can grow substantially in a Malaga shirt and carry us up the leagues in Spain. And we've also made a cash signing from the league above, bringing Manu Bueno to the club for 1.3 million euros. He's 19 years old, 65 rated with really decent stats, can play centre mid, centre attacking mid and CDM. He's another one who looks like a really good young player. And with Bravo, Bueno and Jacobo added to our starting 11, it brings the average age of our squad down substantially, and I'm hopeful these 3 players can grow loads this season, along with our 2 exciting young wingers. And we do have a decent bench, lads. We do have plenty of options on there. No 170 rated, but a lot of players who could grow, with even more players available in our reserves. Don't actually think we've got a terrible squad for season number 1. Now, we're still left with 3 million euros in the bank, but we want to get our youth scouts out scouting. We want to get some coaches in. Don't think we're going to have enough money to sign anyone else in season number 1. Now, before we progress any further, we've got the small matter of sending our youth scouts out to find some young talent. And today we are going to be going with this comment. We are sending our youth scouts off to Somalia. Hopefully we can uncover some serious talent while we're scouting over there. Now, boys, our starting 11 is locked in. For the most part, our contract situation is now sorted. We've made 3 terrific signings. We've brought in a load of decent coaches. Don't really think there's much more we can do other than simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 1. And I'm not really expecting too much from this Malaga team. Let's just see how we get on. So we have arrived at the end of season number 1, and I do not know whether I should laugh or I should cry, as we have finished 7th in La Liga High Promotion, 1 point outside of the playoffs on 67 points. Granada and Zaragoza finished on 68 points. We had better goal difference than Granada. If we gained just 1 more point this season, we would have been competing for a place in La Liga. We have to just take this on the chin, lads, bring the right personnel in season 2 and go again. And we had an okay run in the Copa de España, reaching the round of 32 where we lost to La Liga side Girona 2-1. No shame in that at all. So our performance on the pitch this season has actually been quite good, and the growth amongst the squad has been really good. Our starting 11 is now full of 70 rated plus players, which we love to see, and with the right additions I do definitely think we can push on and try and get promoted in season number 2. Now, where do I want to improve this team going forward? Well, Luis Mate is 33-year-old and 70 rated and is only going to start getting worse. We need to bring a new CDM into the club. That is absolute priority. And given the fact we're going to be playing with a 3 at the back in this rebuild, I think we need to have extremely strong centre-backs. I am actually looking at Monte's position. 72 rated, 29 years old. I think personally we can do better than Monte. If we get a really decent budget off the board, I'll be looking to bring a CDM and commanding centre-back into the club, which I think could give us a better chance at getting promoted, but it's all dependent on how much money the board decide to give us. Now, at the end of the season, Dione and Romani will be leaving the club as we're not renewing their contracts. They're both over 30 and not even first choice players. They will be getting moved on in the summer. And in terms of stats, it was actually Julian Lobete who was our best player this season, getting 19 goals and 6 assists. Ika Bravo had a fantastic season though, getting 18 goals and 6 assists, really impressive. And after that, lads, not many goals from the rest of the squad, which is probably something we need to work on in season number 2. So we have arrived at the start of season 2 and the board have given us 10 million euros, which is actually a really decent transfer budget. So lads, we have gone out into the transfer market and brought a CDM and centre back to the club, and I'm really happy with the business we have done. Kicking things off, we have brought in Marc Bernal from Barcelona for 1.9 million euros, 600 grand below his market value. He is 67 rated, 18 years old and already has excellent stats, and I know what you're thinking, Scott, he is 3 overalls worse off than Luis Mate. He has got excellent potential. He's very young. I think he's an excellent pickup, and I'm more than confident come the end of the season he'll be well above 70 rated. And then time for our marquee signing of season number 2. Juan Herzog joins the club from Las Palmas for 4 million euros, again below his market value. He is 72 rated, 21-year-old, showing great potential with really good stats. He's also really fast. Another player who comes into our starting 11, makes us much better already, and has actually got really good potential as well. However, we are now left with just 2 million euros, so it's unlikely we'll do any more transfer business. And our youth academy is starting to get stacked full of players. The pick of the bunch is Guled Fiklu, who is a 63 rated 16-year-old cam with 86 to 92 potential. Every player you can see here will be promoted to the senior team and sent out on loan. And we have had a very busy transfer window in terms of outgoings. Dani Sanchez and Carlos Puga have both left the club for a combined 3.9 million euros as their fullbacks, and we do not play with fullbacks. And we have also loaned out absolutely loads of our young players, including all of our Somali youngsters from our youth academy. Hopefully when they all come back from their respective loans, they're pushing for first team places. Now, we have still got 4 million euros in the bank, so we're going to go and convert one of our loan to buys into a permanent deal right now. And I personally think it's a good idea to tie Ika Bravo down to a long-term deal. At 72 rated and 20-year-old with a market value of 5.5 million euros, he's an excellent player, and we can settle the buy option for just 1.7 million euros, which is a great bit of business. And Ika Bravo joins the club for just 1.7 million euros on a 4-year deal. This rounds off our transfer window, and considering how full of aging players this squad was 12 months ago, this squad is now full of teenagers and players in their early 20s with really high potential. We have done a really good job in bringing the average age of the squad down, and we've also built a squad that I think can definitely challenge for promotion this season. Now, our transfer window is done, lads. We're not looking to sell anyone else. All that's really left to do now is simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 2. So
So we have arrived at the end of season number 2, lads, and we have been promoted to La Liga as we have finished second in the league on 91 points, winning 28 of our 42 games. We'll be joining Leganés, who had a Centurion season, in La Liga next season. However, it's time to put the celebrations on hold as we've got a lot of work to do to actually keep Malaga in La Liga next season. In the Copa de España, we once again made the round of 32, but La Liga opposition knocked us out. Real Sociedad beat us 2-0. No shame in that, but we do need to be competing with these teams in the league next season. So this is the Malaga team that has got us promoted to La Liga, and we have had some substantial growth all across the pitch. Multiple players who are touching 80 rated, like Bravo, Bueno, La Rubia, Herzog, and I'm hopeful by the end of season 3 we'll have multiple 80 rated players in our team. I actually think this squad is looking really good, but we do need some reinforcements. Now, the bulk of this squad is young and will continue to grow next season. I think it's time that we move Pastor on, as he's 26-year-old, 72 rated. We do need to bring a much higher level defender into the club to try and keep us up. And I'm also looking at replacing Herrero, our goalkeeper. He's 76 rated, 32-year-old. We need to bring a younger goalkeeper in who can carry the club forward going into future seasons. So that will be where our focus is at in season number 3, centre back and a goalkeeper. Now, in terms of stats, Iker Bravo was outstanding, getting 31 goals and 7 assists, followed by Lobete, who was also very good. He got 24 goals and 12 assists. Both of our strikers were outstanding this season, and we are now getting into season 3, our first back in La Liga, and our goal is literally just to keep Malaga up. So we have arrived in season number 3, and we've only been given 27 million euros to keep Malaga in La Liga. Now, with not many saleable assets who I'm actually willing to sell, I think it's more important we improve the weakest part of our team, and I think that's clearly the centre-back positions. We have to make Jacobo's loan into a permanent deal, which will use up some funds. Then we're going to be looking to bring a centre-back in to replace Pastor. Herrero will probably be our first choice keeper for the rest of this season. So we are now going to make Jacobo's loan into a permanent deal. He's worth 4.4 million euros. We are going to sign him for just 1.25 million euros. And Jacobo does sign on a 4-year deal, but he's taking on 50 grand a week. And we will be saying goodbye to Wampe and Galilei, as they're both over 30 and pretty poor players at the Liga level. We do need to renew quite a few contracts as well this season, which could eat away at a lot of our transfer funds. So I don't think we're going to be bringing a centre-back to the club who's absolutely world class. We're going to have to be really smart with our money this transfer window. So after renewing all the relevant contracts, we're left with 21 million in the bank. I do think we can sign a pretty good centre-back with this money. But we have gone back out into the transfer market, boys, and we've brought a backup striker and a first choice centre-back to the club. And with the limited funds we've got, I think we've actually made some decent signings. Now, we've had to dip into the free agent market to bring a backup striker to the club, Tommaso Fumagalli. He's 75 rated, 26-year-old, looks like a really decent backup striker. He'll offer us some more firepower off the bench in season 3, which will hopefully help us stay in the division. We then went out and spent 15.5 million euros on Wouter Goes, who was playing for Borussia Dortmund. He is 22-year-old, 77 rated, with really good defensive stats. He's a huge upgrade on Pastor, and he's got really good potential in FC25, and will hopefully help us stay in La Liga. So just one change to the starting 11 heading into season number 3. Goes heads to the left side of our defence, as he's got 5-star weak foot. I think the starting 11 does look decent, lads. I think we do have enough to stay up. Our bench is definitely lacking, lads. We've got 2 decent backup centre-back options and a decent winger and striker. Other than that, a lot of 60 rated players, 2 academy players in there will hopefully grow. But with just 2 million euros left in our bank account, we can't afford to bring anyone else into the club. We're stuck with the squad that we've got. Hopefully it's enough to keep us in La Liga, as we don't want to be getting relegated. Let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 3 and see if we can stay up. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, lads, and honestly, what a season we have had, as we have finished 9th in the La Liga table on 49 points, achieving a top half finish in our first season back as a La Liga side. But we have set excellent foundations to build off heading forward, and with the right additions in season 4, can we even try and get into Europe? However, our performance in the Copa de España for the 3rd consecutive season saw us bow out in the round of 32 as we lost at home 3-2 to Valencia. Hopefully in season 4 we can finally mount a bit of a cup run. So this is how the Malaga team is looking at the end of season number 3, and do you know what? This is actually a fantastic team on paper. 80 rated players are now starting to grow all across our team, with the lowest rated players at the club club being Jacobo and Lebete. However, Jacobo is only 22 years old and 77 rated. He's got a big future at Malaga. And this brings the question, where do I actually improve this team heading into season number 4? Well, this team's actually looking really strong and a lot of the players in the team are actually very young. However, it will be finally time to make a goalkeeper a top priority. Herrero has been a fantastic servant to the club, but he's 33-year-old and 78 rated. It's time to bring in a younger, better goalkeeper with a higher ceiling. Now, I'm not too sure how much money the board are going to give us, as they didn't give us a big budget last season. If we do have enough money, I would like to bring in a better striker than Lebete, as he's 26-year-old and 77 rated, probably won't go on be an endgame player for us, but it's completely dependent on how much money the board give us. Now, in terms of stats, Ika Bravo was our best player last season, getting 17 goals and 2 assists. He also grew to 83 rated, and at 22-year-old, he's got potential to go well past 90 rated. So we have arrived in season 4, lads, and wow, this is really disappointing. The board have only given us 22 million euros. Definitely only going to be bringing a goalkeeper in this window, but we're probably going to have to sell some first team assets to be able to do this. Really disappointed from the board. Let's just see what we can do with the money we've got. Now, lads, we've been very busy selling players in this transfer window. We've sold some players that I wouldn't even have wanted to sell. The likes of Kimiko and especially Guled Furku, who's an exciting prospect, 73 rated and 18-year-old. He would have been an excellent player to have in the long run. But needs must, boys. We need a high quality goalkeeper. As you can see, we've raised around 16 million euros in player sales, leaving us with 38 million euros to bring a goalkeeper in. And don't worry, lads, we have kept some of our Somali wonder kids. We've not sold them all. And lads, we have gone out into the transfer market and used all of our transfer budget to sign an unbelievable Spanish goalkeeper. Joan Garcia joins us from Brighton and Hove Albion for 34 million euros. He's 26-year-old, 84 rated, looks like an outstanding goalkeeper due to his stats. He is instantly one of the best goalkeepers in the Liga, with still some room to grow, and this is a real high profile signing for Malaga. But given the fact we're left with just 1 million in the bank and we have sold so many players in this window, he will be the one and only incoming of season number 4. And with Garcia added to the team, we do look much more solid at the back. I do think we've got a really decent team on paper now. The only area that really concerns me is the bench, but we do have some good young players who I'm hopeful will grow quite a bit this season. And with our remaining money in the bank, we are going to send our youth scouts back out to Somalia to try and replace some of them wonder kids we've just sold. Now, with our youth scouts sent out, we've got 887 grand in the bank, and to be honest with you, lads, really isn't anything we can do now towards the end of the season. With no money to improve the squad anymore, no one else is for sale. All that's left to do now is simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 4, and hopefully we can improve on a 9th place finish. So we have arrived at the end of season number 4, and lads, prepare to be mind blown. We have actually finished second in La Liga, securing Champions League football for season 5, losing just 4 of our 38 games, winning 26 games, missing out on the title by just 3 points and goal difference. What an unbelievable 4th season as Malaga boss, and when you see the team, you will see why we have had excellent growth this season. But lads, it was absolute heartbreak in the Copa de España. We got to the semi-finals and lost to Atletico Madrid on penalties. They would actually go on to win the trophy on penalties as well. Absolutely gutted. So this is the Malaga team that has secured us Champions League football, and the team is looking very strong on paper. Now, one player in the team is below 80 rated in Jacobo, who's been an excellent servant to the club. However, if I had to improve one position in season 5, it would definitely be Jacobo's position in the back three. We need to bring a world-class centre-back into that back three to give us a better chance of being successful in the Champions League and trying to win La Liga. And any remaining money after signing a centre-back will definitely go on improving our bench. We've got a lot of young players on that bench, but they're just not quite good enough to play in the Champions League. So as of right now, our targets for season 5 are a new world-class centre-back and some rotation players for our bench. But in terms of stats, Julian Lebete this season was outstanding, getting 25 goals and 6 assists, along with Ika Bravo, who was outstanding once again, getting 22 goals and 3 assists. So we have arrived in season number 5, lads, and we have been given 70 million euros. This might be enough to bring a world-class centre-back to the club, but I'm not too sure we're going to be able to pack out our bench with this money. Let's just play it by ear and see what deals take place. So we have identified the centre-back we want to bring to Malaga in this transfer window, and his contract may be expiring in 12 months' time, as we have identified Mario Gila of Bologna. He is 27-year-old, 84 rated. His stats are absolutely unbelievable, with 87 pace, 3 play styles, and he can dribble dribble and pass as well. He looks like an insane centre-back, and we're going to get him on the cheap, boys, as Bologna are only going to want anywhere from 34.6 to 43 million euros. And we have signed Mario Gila for 38 million euros. What a steal this is. And this signing does in fact leave us with 25 million in the bank, so we can at least bring some rotation players in. And there will be one final signing in this transfer window, lads. I felt like we needed a backup central midfielder, so we have brought in Hugo Sotelo from Celta Vigo, 20 million euros. He's 24-year-old, 78 rated, really decent stats. I feel like he'll be a really decent backup player for us in season 5. And with 3 million euros left in the bank, and I'm not really looking to sell any key players or players who will make us decent money, that's going to be our transfer window done in terms of incomings. But there will be outgoings, lads. We've got to get some of these youth players out on loan, and we do have some very young players as well who do need to go out on loan this season. That will get sorted off camera. So this season, lads, we're back in the Champions League for the first time since the early 2010s, and some of our standout fixtures from the league phase are PSG at home, Porto away, and we'll also be travelling to Arsenal. So we've got some really difficult fixtures in the Champions League. We'll have to be at our best to get through the league phase. Let's simulate forward straight through to the end of the season, see if we manage to do so. So we have arrived at the end of season number 5, lads, and once again we have finished second in La Liga. This time though we was 11 points off tabletop in Barcelona. We have secured ourselves Champions League football once again for season number 6, but our performance on the pitch was not as good, as we lost 7 times, only won 23 times, but our output in front of goal was excellent, scoring 84 goals, being the league's top scorers. Hopefully we can kick on and start winning some trophies, because in the Spanish Supercopa we made semi-final and got beat once again by Atletico Madrid on penalties. Just cannot get one over on them. But we have finally won our first major trophy of the rebuild, beating Real Mallorca in the Copa de España final 3-2, and that is finally a major trophy to our trophy cabinet. And in the Champions League we would finish 3rd in the league phase on 17 points, 1 point off top in the table. Just guess what happened next. Borussia Dortmund would knock us out in the round of 16, 5-4 over 2 legs, coming from behind once again. The last time Malaga were in the competition, they were knocked out by Dortmund through 2 90th minute goals. I'm begging at the end of this rebuild we get Dortmund in the Champions League final. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 5, and Bravo becomes our first 90 rated player, with Bernal at 89 rated, not far behind. The team is absolutely stacked, boys. It's such a strong team on paper. We did lose Larrubia at the end of the season to a small injury. He's grown to 85 rated and looks a brilliant player. And our bench has definitely seen a bit of growth as well. Some of our young Somali wonder kids are now growing to real first team level ability levels. So going into season number 6, once again, lads, probably going to lean towards bringing another world-class centre-back to the club, just because our midfield and front two are really solid. Just feel like we're lacking another world-class centre-back to push us that one step further. Now at the end of the season we are saying goodbye to a bit of a club legend. Nelson Monte, who's been here since the start, will be retiring. He's been a great servant to the club. But in terms of stats, Lebete has been insane in this rebuild. I just can't bring myself to replace him. 32 goals and 8 assists from our second striker's insane. Bravo had another great season though, getting 21 goals and 4 assists, and Cordero started to add goals to his game. Just need to carry this goal scoring form over into season 6 and stop conceding goals. So we have arrived in season number 6, and we have got a pretty exciting transfer budget of 86 million euros, which is our biggest to date, and I'm confident we can sign another brilliant centre-back with this money. And lads, we need a world-class centre-back. We've been signing a lot of Spanish players in this rebuild. I want to sign one more. Daniel Vivian of Tottenham Hotspur is our primary transfer target in this window, going for a little bit of experience. He's 86 rated, 29-year-old with outstanding stats, another rapid defender. Going to be a very costly deal. Spurs are going to want anywhere from 63 to 78 million euros for him, but I'm confident we can strike a good deal. And I think this would be an outstanding signing for Malaga. And Daniel Vivian is in for 65 million euros on 120 grand a week, but I think he's going to be worth every penny. And with Vivian added to our starting 11, that team is now looking much stronger, especially on the right hand side. We've also got a very decent bench as well. Plenty of options on there, a few 80 rated players as well. I think the squad is looking the most complete it's looked throughout this entire rebuild. Now lads, our youth academy players haven't really been growing at the rate I want them to, especially the ones that we sent out on loan. So we've actually dipped into the free agent market and made what could be an outstanding signing in the long run, as we have brought in Elias Blanchard on a free contract on a 5-year deal. He is 19-year-old, 78 rated with excellent stats, plays CDM and centre mid,
already 6'4" and an exciting prospect, and he's actually a fantastic backup CDM option, and that hasn't really cost us any money. So we are now left with 11 million euros in the bank, and to be honest with you lads, I'm really happy with how the squad is currently looking. There's going to be no more business taking place in season 6, so our transfer window is done. Now we are once again in the Champions League this season, and our league phase fixtures have been announced. Again, we have got very difficult ties. We travel to our arch nemesis in the Champions League, Borussia Dortmund. We've also got to travel to England to take on Manchester City, and we also have a very tricky tie at home to Galatasaray, who won the Europa League last season. However, with our squad looking as strong as it is, I feel like we've got absolutely nothing to fear, so let's simulate forward straight through to the end of season 6, see how Malaga get on with this amazing looking side. So we have arrived at the end of season number 6 lads, and we have secured our 3rd consecutive second place finish in the Liga, finishing 10 points behind eventual winners Real Madrid. We are really struggling to close that gap from us to the league winners, but we've got guaranteed Champions League football for season 7, and we did win 24 of our games. Hopefully we have got a La Liga trophy coming up soon. In the Supercopa, we were knocked out by Real Madrid once again. They have just dominated us this season, and Real Madrid would knock us out of the Copa de España as well. I'm just sick of the sight of Real Madrid at the minute, so I guess it's a good thing that we're going to be taking on PSV in the Champions League final, as we have made the Champions League final, and this is a really interesting final, you know. Malaga versus PSV, you would never have guessed that. In the league phase, we were very solid. We finished 6th out of all the teams. PSV actually finished 2nd. This should be a really good tie. In the round of 16, we absolutely battered Benfica, beating them 7-0 over 2 legs. We'd then go on to knock Newcastle United out 4-1 over 2 legs, or beating Liverpool 4-2 over 2 legs, while PSV beat Barcelona, setting up a final with the Dutch side, and this is going to be a really interesting tie. However, our team heading into the Champions League final is looking absolutely insane. Bravo and Bernal are absolutely world-class. Cordero, Bueno, Garcia, really world-class players as well. We've actually got a really strong starting 11, and I'm really excited to see how we get on. Now, in terms of stats, as you can see lads, Lebete, Bravo, Fumagalli, that's very interesting. Cordero and Bueno all had excellent goal scoring seasons. We just need our players to turn up one more time in the Champions League final against PSV. So here we go boys, it is Champions League final time, live from the Estadio de Benfica. Malaga versus PSV, a bit of an interesting final. Front they've got Johan Bakayoko. He's had a shot from distance. That is a very interesting start to the game from PSV. Early shot up to Larubia. That is brilliant. And Larubia is pretty quick. Oh, it's a great ball to Ika Bravo. There's passes on. He squares it. Big chance for Larubia. 1-0 to Malaga in our first attack of the game. Fast flowing counter attack, and it's a player who's been with us since day one, Larubia, who gives us the lead. Great ball from Ika Bravo across the box. Not too sure why the better left it, but wow, it's not the best of finishes, to be honest. Keeper should be saving it. Bakayoko could be in.
Nope.
Oh, good save by Joan Garcia. Oh, thank God. So, almost an instant response from PSV. We need to win that header. Or not. Oh, dear. Got a foot in. What a save by Garcia. Still 1-0. PSV and banging on the door. He's absolutely wrapping in. Bravo could be in. There's a big gap in the PSV defence, and Bravo's in. Is there a pass on? Pull it back to Lebete. That's brilliant. Oh, what a save. No way. How is it not 2-0? Excellent football from us there. Really entertaining tie, lads. Plenty of chances. Very unusual that we have a tie that's got loads of chances in. Oh, no. If they've played through us, great interception back. No. What a tackle. What a that was a goal-saving tackle there. Bravo could be in. Oh, we could do this going in. Don't miss Bravo, please. You've been so good in this rebuild. He's not quick enough, though. Have a dig. What a save, man. Yes. Yes. Lorenzo. Oh, the goalkeepers in this final, man, just cannot be beaten. Lebete could be in. Another chance for us. This has to be a goal. Lebete is in. It is 2-0 to Malaga. Excellent finish by Lebete. We've rolled our luck at times in this final. We've heavily relied on our goalkeeper. But we finally get the second goal on the stroke of half-time, and that is going to change everything ending into the second half. Half-time, boys. 2-0 to Malaga. It's been a fantastic game with loads of chances for both teams. We just need to find that extra 10% now to see this game out. We just don't need... let's just not give any chances away. Great ball. Oh, that's brilliant. Ika Bravo. And that's 3-0 to Malaga. That is the game over. Excellent passing move. We have sliced through this PSV team. And being 100% honest, boys, I don't see any way back for PSV. Oh, dear. Got a foot in.
Great save again by Garcia. He just will not be beaten in this final. Come on, boys. I want the clean sheet. Oh, dear. Oh, no. Good save. Get it out, get it out, get it. Jesus. Go on, Cordero. Go on, Cordero. On to Bravo. Let's make it 4. It's 4-0 to Malaga in the 60th minute. PSV have gone all out attack. We are just carving them open. Ika Bravo scores again. Lads, that's it. That's the game. Malaga are, in fact, the champions of Europe. Brilliant finish by Bravo. 4 on the scoreboard for us. Oh dear, Bakayoko could be in. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? He's missed. Oh my God. PSV have had... I'm not going to lie, lads. PSV have had about 6 clear-cut chances in this game and they just haven't found the back of the net. Oh dear, get across to him. Get across to him. Oh, he's done me. Colombo, they've finally scored. Do you know what? PSV, I'm not going to lie, they've had so many big chances. It's been pretty inevitable that they were going to score at some point, but we've got a 3-goal cushion. I'm very, very confident we're going to win the game. It's actually a really nice bit of play by PSV, but it's another chance for PSV, man. They have had chances in this game. What a ball by the keeper. Oh my God, what a ball that were. Ref, that's a red card. That's going to be a red card. We was in, down to... He's got to go. If he is not sent off here, it's an absolute joke. See you later, lad. Clean through with Bravo. Adamo Nagalo gets sent off. The referee has blown his whistle and Malaga are the champions of Europe. An absolutely incredible display in the Champions League final, backed up by some unbelievable goalkeeping, might I add. And Malaga are, in fact, the champions of Europe. What a team we have built, and we are now the champions of Europe. Aguila lifts the trophy to round off a very successful rebuild.
Sunderland have just been promoted to the Premier League in dramatic fashion thanks to a 95th minute Tommy Watson winner in the playoff final. 8 long painful years of relegations, playoff losses, managerial changes are finally over and the Black Cats are back in the big time. And their squad is just... wow. Absolutely stacked with young players, which will make a very exciting rebuild. As today we are jumping into FC25, taking charge of Sunderland after their promotion, with the ultimate end goal of winning the Black Cats a Champions League trophy. However, lads, today's rebuild will be slightly different. I know every man and his dog is rebuilding Sunderland at the moment. We have got to keep things in this rebuild as realistic as possible. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how realistic rebuilds work on this channel, we cannot sign anyone who's higher rated than our highest rated current player at the club. So in FC25, Sunderland's best player is 77 rated Enzo Lefebvre. And you may be wondering, well, does this count because Lefebvre is actually a loan player from Roma? Yes, this does count. Sunderland have got an obligation to buy Lefebvre for £24 million thanks to their promotion. Next season, Sunderland will own Lefebvre as a permanent player, and that also means we have got to make him permanent in FC25 as well. So in season 1, we cannot sign anyone who is above 77 rated, which means staying in the Premier League is going to be a really difficult task. However, if we do get relegated this season, which definitely could happen, I'm not going to be worried in the long run because Sunderland's squad is stacked full of unbelievable young players. They've got players on their books like Joe Bellingham, who's 18-year-old and 73 rated, Chris Rigg, who is 17 years old and 70 rated, Ray Hume is 22-year-old and so is Dan Neil. They're both 73 rated. I mean, just looking at the young players at the club, there's so many players here that in future seasons could be so strong. However, having all these amazing young players does come with a bit of a selection headache for me. How do we get all this young talent straight into the starting 11? Well, we are going to go with a 4-2-3-1 formation, kick things off in this rebuild with 3 attacking midfielders. This is the only way I could get the likes of Rigg, Bellingham, Neil and Lefebvre all in the same team. And I think on initial inspection, lads, this team is going to struggle to stay in the Premier League. Thankfully though, we can make signings in season number 1. Now, Sunderland only actually started off with £4 million, but they have just won the playoffs, meaning they have won £220 million in real life. However, I'm not going to give us that much money. I've only given us a £50 million transfer increase, so we've got £54 million in the bank, but there is a bit of a catch. Now, we've already discussed that Sunderland have to buy Enzo Lefebvre in real life, meaning we've got to sign him in FC25. However, I'm not really too concerned about this because he's actually a really good player. Now, 2 of their other loan players players Abdul Samed and Jadon Dans have barely played for Sunderland, so I can't see them signing them in real life. However, Chris Metham has had a fantastic season for Sunderland this season. Now at 26-year-old and 72 rated, he is definitely someone I would avoid signing in FC25. I just can't see any situation where Sunderland don't sign him permanently in real life, so we are going to have to sign Chris Metham and Enzo Lefebvre permanently in FC25, and I'm hopeful we'll still have a competitive budget after signing these two players. Now the deals are completed. Lefebvre and Metham are permanent Sunderland players, costing us a combined £17.8 million and a lot of money on wages as well, which means we have now got £34 million in the bank. Now this is the part of the rebuild which I knew would be the most difficult, actually replacing players in this starting 11 heading into the Premier League. Now as Abdul Samed is only a loan player, we won't have him next season. Luke O'Nien is currently playing at CDM for us with Don Ballard and Metham at the back. I think going into season number 1 we have to bring a new CDM, centre back and goalkeeper into the club to give us any chance of staying in the Premier League. Luke O'Nien has been an amazing player for Sunderland in real life, and next season in the Premier League he is definitely going to be starting. But in FC25 lads, he's 72 rated, 29-year-old, he's currently playing out of position. Playing him this season doesn't benefit me at all because he's not really going to grow. Gonna have to take him out of the starting 11 next season and use him as a squad player. And I know people are probably thinking our strikers are nowhere near good enough as well, and they aren't in terms of FC25, but I'm looking to shore up our defence to give us a chance of staying up. We've got 3 attacking midfielders with a lot of talent. I'm hopeful they'll add goals to the team. And in real life, Sunderland have sold playoff final hero Tommy Watson to Brighton for £10 million, which is a really big shame. As you can see, we're gonna have to sell him in season 1, and I'm absolutely gutted about this. So we have made 3 new signings lads, and I'm really happy with the business we have done. I've tried to keep it as realistic as possible. If I do get something wrong, let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll try to make the next rebuild that bit more realistic. Now the first signing we made of season number 1 was a centre back who's just been relegated from the Premier League. We signed England under-21 captain Taylor Harwood-Bellis from Southampton for £9.5 million. He's 22-year-old, 74 rated with really decent potential in FC25. No way Harwood-Bellis is going to be playing in the Championship next season, and I can genuinely see him leaving Southampton for one of the newly promoted sides. Now our next signing, we kind of reverted back to Sunderland's transfer philosophy of signing young, high potential players, and we dipped into the French league to sign Valentin Antanga from Stade de Reims for £6 million. They have just lost Will Still as their boss, and I feel like Antanga could be swayed to join the Black Cats. He's going to be playing in front of 46,000 fans in the best league in the world. For a massive club like Sunderland, I think they could get this deal over the line. Paid £6 million for him as an exciting prospect, 18-year-old, 73 rated. Another really exciting young player to keep our eye on in this rebuild. And now for the final signing, the goalkeeper, as we have signed Michael Cooper from Sheffield United, who we've just beaten the playoff final for £11 million. Now Michael Cooper is the best goalkeeper outside of the Premier League, hands down. The guy is incredible, and he will not be playing Championship football next season. That is a fact. He's 76 rated in FC25 and 24-year-old, and I feel like in FC25 and in real life this is a big upgrade on Anthony Patterson. And in my opinion, these 3 signings are realistic, and with them added to our starting 11, we're looking a lot more solid at the back, which will hopefully give us a fighting chance of actually staying in the Premier League. Now we have only got £4 million left in the bank, so there'll be no more signings made in season 1. We do have a few players transfer listed and some players listed for loan. However, I'm going to call our transfer window done for season number 1, and our starting 11 is now locked in for the new season. Can we stay in the Premier League? Only time will tell. So we've arrived at the end of the season lads. Have we stayed up? Have we gone down? Well, in fact we have finished 15th in the Premier League on 43 points, finishing 5 points clear of the relegation zone, level on points with the Mags as well. And in season 2, Sunderland are still going to be in the Premier League, which is a monumental achievement. In the FA Cup in the 3rd round, unfortunately we drew Arsenal, and they were far too good for us and beat us 3-1. Not really too fussed about our performance in the FA Cup though. And do you know what lads, it has to be said, look at the growth of our team. We now look like an established established Premier League side on paper, and I think the big challenge of season number 2 is going to be keeping our key young players like Jude Bellingham and Chris Rigg. But with rumours of Bellingham leaving in real life, I'm hopeful no bids will come in for him, but if we get a serious bid we may have to accept it. I think going into the new season though, lads, I really am going to have to bring in a new left back to replace Dennis Serkin. He's 74 rated and 23-year-old, so he wouldn't be a bad squad player, but if we want to progress up the Premier League table we need a better starting left back. I'm also thinking about replacing Don Ballard at the back. He's 25-year-old, 76 rated. Again, he'd be a very good squad player in the Premier League, but I feel like we're lacking a commanding centre-back who's going to propel us up the league table. If we have any spare money, lads, I may look to improve our bench. I don't know what kind of budget we're going to be working with. Don't even know if we'll be able to bring in a left back and centre back. And in terms of stats this season, Wilson Isidore was fantastic. He got 21 goals in 42 games and he is only 73 rated. Really happy with his progression, and Jude Bellingham was amazing as well. Before we progress on into the new season, we have sold quite a few players. All the players you can see here have been sold, other than a few players going out on loan from our academy. So we have arrived in season number 2, lads, and the board are pulling out all the stops. We have got 63 million in the bank. This is a fantastic competitive transfer budget for Sunderland. Really confident at the end of this transfer window we'll be more than capable of competing for a top half finish in the Premier League. Let's just hope no bids come in for our star players. And lads, in real life, how could Sunderland keep Jude Bellingham and Chris Rigg at the club? Give them more money. We agreed new contracts with Jude Bellingham and Chris Rigg, and Jude Bellingham will be taking home £60,000 a week, making him the most high paid player at Sunderland, and Chris Rigg's taking home 40 grand a week at 18-year-old. This should keep them both uninterested in leaving the club for at least another season. As we know, there is a rule in this rebuild: we cannot sign anyone who is higher rated than our highest overall player, and Michael Cooper is currently our highest overall player at 80 rated, so we can only sign players 80 rated or below in this transfer window. Hopefully though, we come out of the transfer window much stronger. So lads, we have acted very fast in this transfer window. We've immediately made 2 signings off the bat, which I think make us much stronger on paper. Our first signing of the transfer window was Flavien Boyomo of Osasuna. We paid £30 million for him. He's 23-year-old, 79 rated with amazing stats. Osasuna in FC25 did get relegated from La Liga. We have picked off one of their best players, Boyomo, brought him over to the Stadium of Light, and at 23-year-old, he has got a lot of room to grow. I am really excited about this signing. And sticking with the theme of signing players who have been relegated with their clubs in FC25, Nottingham Forest were relegated from the Premier League. We raided them for Neco Williams, who is 24-year-old and 80 rated with really good stats. His contract was also expiring, forcing Forest to sell. We paid 18.5 million for his services. He is a fantastic player. And given the fact that Forest and Osasuna were both relegated in game, I don't think either of these signings are unrealistic. However, lads, we are now left with £1 million in the bank, meaning there's going to be no more signings in this transfer window if we can keep all of our best players. With our new signings added to the starting 11, this is how the team is looking heading into season number 2. Really strong team on paper. Our defence is looking much more solid. This starting 11 is now locked in for the new season. Hopefully no bids come in for our star players. And I also think we've got a really solid bench as well, with players like Ballard and Serkin dropping down there. Ekwa and Pembele are back from their loans and they're looking decent as well. We've also got loads of talent in our reserves. We are looking to sell a few of these players. I think we've done some really solid, smart business. And while we see the transfer window out, we are back scouting in one of your recommendations. And we are going with this comment: we are sending our youth scouts off to Zambia, where we are going to be looking for attacking midfield, just in case we end up selling one of our star players. So lads, as we near the end of the transfer window, someone has bid for Enzo Lefebvre. Whether it's Udinese, they have bid 22 million for him. I really don't think Enzo Lefebvre would leave Sunderland for Udinese. This is getting rejected. So we have arrived at the end of the transfer window, lads, and we have managed to keep all of our best players for another season. Hopefully we can have a really strong season, finish in the top half, which will give us a better chance at keeping our best players. So let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. I'm personally aiming to get Sunderland in the top half of the Premier League. So we have arrived at the end of the season, lads, and what a terrific season we have had. We've finished 9th in the Premier League on 54 points, scoring 74 goals as well, which is massively improved on last season. Whilst we have achieved a top half finish, we haven't secured European football unless we've won a trophy. And if we've not won a trophy and not secured European football, I do think we could struggle to hold on to our better players next season. So let's cross our fingers. Have we won a trophy? Well, we didn't win the FA Cup, lads. We were knocked out in the third round by Manchester City 4-2. Two really difficult first round encounters for us against Arsenal and Man City. And unfortunately, we have not won the Carabao Cup. Arsenal went on to win it, meaning we have not secured European football for season number 3. Let's just hope no other clubs come circling for our best players, because if a team in Europe comes knocking, we're going to really struggle to keep our best players. Speaking of our best players, our team is looking very strong on paper. It'll be a real shame to lose anyone at this stage. Hume and Isidore are the only players in our starting 11 who are not above 80 rated. They are two players we may look to replace in season number 3. Now, I don't think we're going to have any trouble convincing players like Chris Rigg and Dan Neil to stay at Sunderland, as they have been at Sunderland all their careers. It's more players like Valentin Antanga and Joe Bellingham I'm worried about losing. I think if big bids come in for either of them two players in this transfer window, we're going to be forced to sell them. But our team is looking strong. We've had excellent growth all across the pitch. Going into the season 3 transfer window, our main priorities will be a striker and right back. And now, halfway through the season, Dan Neil did suffer an injury, and that forced my hand in the transfer market. We needed someone to come in and be a short-term replacement for Dan Neil, and I went in for someone who came through Sunderland's academy, who has won the Premier League, Champions League, and comes with a wealth of experience. That's right, we brought Jordan Henderson back to the Stadium of Light to see out his career. 35-year-old and 76 rated, by no means a world beater. But we needed a CDM to cover Dan Neil's injury, and I couldn't think of anyone I'd rather play at the Stadium of Light than Jordan Henderson. However, in terms of stats, Wilson Isidore had a fantastic season, getting 19 goals and 4 assists. Bellingham, Lefebvre and Rigg all had excellent seasons as well. So we have arrived in season number 3, lads, and we have got a competitive transfer budget of £53 million. Now, in the short term, we are going to be going in for a right back and striker, and I will keep you updated on any bids that may come in for our star players. Now, the highest rated player at the club is Job Bellingham, 83 rated. So in this transfer window, we are unable to sign any player who is in fact above 83 rated. And I think we're going to focus the bulk of our funds in bringing a new right back to the club. And lads, we have managed to bring a right back to the club, and I do think this is a very realistic signing for a top half Premier League side. We have brought Jed Spence in from RB Leipzig for £29 million. In real life, he's just finished 17th in the league with Tottenham, and he doesn't start every week. He is second choice right back at RB Leipzig in game, so I definitely think the deal's realistic. He's 25-year-old, 82 rated, can play on both flanks, and he has got amazing stats, and he is instantly one of the best players at the club. I just knew this was going to happen in this transfer window, boys. We have had an £84 million bid come in from Napoli for Job Bellingham. He's 20-year-old, 83 rated. He is our best player. However, Napoli are in the Champions League. They've just won Serie A in real life. Unfortunately, boys, we are going to have to accept this offer. There's no way Job Bellingham would turn down the chance to play Champions League football. The good thing is, though, we are going to have a massive amount of money coming to the club to bring in a replacement. And I can't lie, boys, this one does sting. Job Bellingham has left to Napoli for £84 million, and our board reckon we could have got 120 million as well. But we have now got £108 million in the bank to bring in a replacement for Job Bellingham. However, the board have requested that we keep £20 million to one side. Don't want us to spend the entire money from the Bellingham deal. And with Job Bellingham leaving the club, the new highest rated player at the club is Dan Neil at 82 rated, meaning we cannot sign anyone who is above 82 rated. Luckily for us though, boys, I've found an attacking midfielder that I want to replace Job. That guy is Ismail Sabari of PSV. He's 82 rated, 24-year-old with amazing stats. Feel like this is a realistic transfer. Sabari crossing over from Holland to the biggest league in the world in England for one of the biggest clubs in England, Sunderland. I really can't see there being any hiccups with this deal, and he is very affordable as well, as we're only going to be paying anywhere from 34.2 to 42 million pounds. Let's get this man to the Stadium of Light. And Sabari signs for 38 million pounds. I think this is a very good replacement for Job. And after bringing Spence and Sabari into the club, we're left with 61 million in the bank. And I can't lie, as I look at that starting 11, Wilson Isidore just jumps out at me of someone who needs replacing, but he has been our best performing player in the last 2 seasons, and he is growing at a really nice rate. I think it would be a bit of an injustice to replace him right now. However, one thing we do need is an adequate backup striker to Isidore, so we are going to go out into the transfer market, make a sensible signing as a backup striker, and we are going to bank the rest of the money, save it for season 4. And we have brought in a backup striker, boys. Lyle Foster joins the club from Burnley for £7.5 million. 25-year-old, 76 rated, going from the Championship to the Premier League. I feel like he'll be an adequate backup striker for season number 3. He is a significant upgrade on my ender. And as we know, Joe Bellingham did join Napoli, but we've also sold Ian Poveda and Timothy Pembele. Both players not really in our first team plans, raised quite a bit of money. And unless any massive bids come in for our players from Champions League sides, I don't think we need to sell. However, one thing I do think we need in season number 4 is European football. Now, before we progress on any further this season, a few more players have left the club. Nectorius Triantis, Patrick Roberts and Oliver Bainbridge have all left the club. They've got no future here. We've also sent 2 youth academy players out on loan. We'll try and get some more players out on loan, but I'm going to do that off camera. In terms of incomings though, in this transfer window, we are done. No one else is joining. And our starting 11 is now locked in for the new season. We're looking really, really good on paper. And we have got a very, very decent bench as well, boys. Probably lacking a backup attacking midfielder, but we've definitely got options. I think we've built a very, very decent team here at Sunderland. Hopefully we'll meet our goals in season number 4. Or is it season 3? I think we're actually going into season 3. All that's left to do now is simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 3. Let's hope season 3 is a roaring success for Sunderland. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, lads, and I don't think this season could have gone any better if we tried. We have finished 4th in the Premier League, securing Champions League football for season number 4. And to top things off, we beat our arch rivals Newcastle United to Champions League football by just 3 points. What a season for the Black Cats. Bring on Champions League football. However, in the FA Cup, we made it 3 consecutive 3rd round exits as we lost to Fulham on penalties. Now, it's pretty common knowledge that Sunderland are trophyless since 1973 when they beat Leeds United to win the FA Cup. Well, this season we have ended that 50-year drought for Sunderland as we won the Carabao Cup, beating Man City 4-3 in the final. Really dramatic circumstances. We gained revenge from the final where Man City beat Sunderland 2-0 in this exact competition, and this is Sunderland's first major trophy for over 50 years. And our team is now looking absolutely unbelievable on paper. Our midfield is definitely our strong point, with Neil and Antanga at 86 rated, our 2 best players. We've actually built a really strong squad here at Sunderland, despite losing our best player last season in Joe Bellingham. Now, given the fact we have secured Champions League football for season 4, I don't think any of our best players would be tempted to leave the club unless the likes of Real Madrid or Barcelona come in for our players, which is going to really help me in season number 4, as I won't be worried about losing our star players. If we had to improve the team, I'm looking at Harwood Bellis at centre-back. He needs to be improved. We could bring another world-class centre-back into the club, help shore up our back line. I think we'd have a great chance at more success in season number 4. If we have any leftover money, we do need a backup attacking midfielder, and I may look to replace Wilson Isidore. He's 26-year-old, 82 rated, not growing as fast as he once was, so we could be looking at a new centre-back and striker and a new backup attacking midfielder in season number 4. However, when it comes to replacing Wilson Isidore, he was by far our best player this season, scoring 22 goals and getting 9 assists, so we're going to bear that in mind heading into season number 2. Isidore has been amazing again this season and is really performing, but it's always nice to have multiple world-class players who know where the back of the net is in your squad. So we have arrived in season number 4, boys, and this budget's a little bit crazy. We've got £179 million in the bank. This is because we still had 70 million left in the bank at the end of last season from the Joe Bellingham sale. Obviously though, the board are not going to allow us to spend all this money and bankrupt the club. Board are giving us 100 million of this budget as we want to become regulars in the Champions League, and the only way we're going to do that is by significantly investing in the club. Any money we make from player sales in this transfer window will not count to our transfer budget either. Now, the highest rated players at the club are 86 rated in Dan Neil and Valentin Antanga, so we cannot sign anyone above 86 rated, but we have identified Wilfred Singo of Premier League rivals Leeds United, 85 rated, 26-year-old, really good stats. I feel like this could be a realistic move at this stage of the rebuild, as we're a Champions League side, Leeds United are not. I do think we'd be able to buy one of their star players. Wilfred Wilfried Singor will come at a bit of a price, anywhere from 50 to 62 million pounds for Singor. I'm more than happy to bring him to the Stadium of Light. And Wilfried Singor signs for 52 million pounds. Great signing, good addition to the squad. We're now left with 48 million pounds to spend on players. So we've managed to sign the world-class centre-back we wanted in this transfer window. We now need to bring in a striker to replace Isidore, and we have identified Yoann Bonnet of Lille, who is 23 years old, 82 rated, rapid, and has amazing stats. Now, Lille have qualified for the Europa League and not the Champions League, so I do think if Sunderland were in the Champions League and they were in for Yoann Bonnet, I do think he'd be open to the move. Now, remember, we've only got 48 million pounds to make this deal happen. Luckily, Lille are going to want anywhere from 38 to 47 million pounds for on his services, so we can just afford him. And being 4 years younger than Isidore and having much higher potential, I think this would be a fantastic signing. And Yoann Bonnet joins Sunderland for 44 million pounds. We have now spent 96 million pounds in this transfer window. We have made two incredible signings, but unfortunately that is our transfer budget gone. However, Singor and Bonnet make our starting 11 much better on paper. This is a very strong team that is more than capable of competing with the best teams in the Champions League. We've also got a really strong bench as well. Unfortunately, we won't be able to sign a backup attacking midfielder in this transfer window like we had planned, but I'm hopeful Auchi and Mundell can do the job from the bench. I'm really confident we've built a squad that is more than capable of once again qualifying for the Champions League and even surprising a few teams in the Champions League. And now our work in the Season 4 transfer window is officially done. Now lads, it's a really sad day for Sunderland as some of our playoff heroes have left the club. Chris Metham and Elisa Mayenda have handed in transfer requests as they aren't really playing at the club. We've sold them to Crystal Palace and Copenhagen respectively. Lyle Foster also wanted to leave the club after the signing of Yoann Bonnet. Playing time was going to be massively limited. We have sold him to Villarreal for 15.2 million and also sent some youth players out on loan. Now all that's now left to do is simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. Hopefully we give a really good showing in the Champions League. So we have arrived at the end of the season, lads, and we have actually achieved a third placed finish in the Premier League. Only 2 points off title winning Chelsea, losing just 5 of our 38 games. We've once again secured Champions League football for next season, but the fact we've lost just 5 games out of 38 is massively impressive. And we have won our second major trophy of the rebuild as we've beat Watford in the FA Cup final 4-0 to add a first FA Cup trophy to Sunderland's cabinet since 1970. And do you know what, lads? We had a really good showing in the Champions League. We made the quarterfinals where we lost to Monaco 6-2 over 2 legs. However, we did knock out Barcelona in the round of 16, so there are some positives to be taken. And Monaco actually reached the final. And speaking of excellent, our team is literally an elite level side right now. 389 rated players in the team in Rig, Neil and Antanga. I think they'll all be 90 rated next season, along with Sabi as well. The only negative of this season is we lost Yoann Bonnet to an injury at the end of the season. He's grown to 85 rated though. Hopefully he'll be back better than ever next season. Now I'm really happy with how our starting 11 is looking at the minute. I think this is a very strong team. However, we definitely need to bring some players in for our bench, especially given the fact that Jordan Henderson is now 68 rated and he's retiring at the end of the season. Our reserves do home some decent players like Dennis Sirkin, Anthony Patterson and Dan Ballard. We've got good defensive cover on the bench in Hume and Harwood Bellis. We are going to be looking to bring in a backup attacking midfielder and backup CDM in season number 5, which will hopefully make us a lot more solid heading into the new season. Now a few players are leaving us on expiry of their contracts. Alan Brown, Zach Johnson, who have tried to sell since the start of this rebuild, Jordan Henderson are all retiring. Brown and Henderson have been good servants to the club. Johnson just stole a living. And onto the stats, Yoann Bonnet turned out to be an amazing signing, boys. He got 36 goals and 6 assists in 55 games. Enzo Lefebvre and Chris Rigg were absolutely outstanding as well. So was Sebari. Literally all of our goals this season were scored by our front four. So we have arrived in season number 5, boys, and we have got 233 million pounds in the bank. This is because we had 101 million pounds left over from last season's transfer budget. Obviously, once again, we are not allowed to spend all this money. The board will allow us to sign 1 backup attacking midfielder, 1 backup central defensive midfielder, and renew any relevant contracts. The full budget is not available for our use in this transfer window. Now, the highest rated players at the club are Valentin Martin Antanga, Dan Neil and Chris Rigg all at 89 rated. So we cannot sign anyone who is above 89 rated. But because we're bringing in backups, this doesn't really matter. So we went out into the transfer market and managed to bring in a new backup centre attacking midfielder and defensive midfielder, spending just £50 million, and I think we've done some very good business. So let's kick things off with our new backup defensive midfielder. Sergio Altimira has joined us from Real Betis for £22 million. He is 26 years old, 82 rated with really decent stats. He will make a great rotation player for season number 5, and he is a huge upgrade on the backup defensive midfielders we've currently got at the club. We then signed a very exciting attacking midfielder, Sebastian Nanase, who is 26 year old and 83 rated with very good stats. We signed him from Strasbourg for £28 million. With Strasbourg not qualifying for Europe this season, we have pinched one of their best players, and with 3 starting attacking midfield positions in our starting 11, Nanase is going to get a lot of football this season. And quick reminder, we have signed these two for just £50 million, which is insane business. And our bench is looking much better heading into the new season. We've also got 2 youth academy graduates now on our bench, 5 80 rated players, and some genuine world class players on our bench. I think our squad overall is extremely well rounded. Now in terms of incomings, that's going to be our transfer window done. We just need to hope no elite clubs come in for our star players. Now we are kicking off season 5 with a narrow loss in the Community Shield. We have lost to Premier League champions Chelsea 3-1 on penalties. Fortunately, Nanase, Rigg and Enzo Olife all missed the kicks. So that is going to see off our transfer window, lads. We haven't had any bids come in for Rigg, Neil or Antanga, which is just very bemusing. But heading into season 5, our starting 11 is officially locked in for the new season, and what a team that is on paper. With our transfer window done, I don't think there's anything left we can do but simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. Got one of the best squads in English football at the moment. Hopefully the silverware just keeps on flowing. So we have arrived at the end of the season, lads, and we have finished second in the Premier League, 4 points off title winning Arsenal. Draws were our Achilles heel this season as we drew 13 times, which ultimately lost us the Premier League trophy. But we've once again secured Champions League qualification for next season, and we've got another big reason to be positive, lads, because we have won the FA Cup. We have beaten Brighton 3-2 in the final, winning yet another major trophy for Sunderland. And lads, we may be able to add one more trophy this season as we have reached the Champions League final. We're going to be taking on AC Milan. Play AC Milan so much on this channel, I'm actually getting bored of playing them. And we had a very weird run to the final. We finished 14th in the league phase, but we did only lose 1 game, which meant we had to play a playoff round game where we played Sporting Lisbon and beat them 6-3 over 2 legs. We would then take on Inter Milan in the round of 16, and despite losing 2-1 at the Stadium of Light, we would batter Inter Milan 5-1 at the San Siro, winning the tie 6-3. We would then take on RB Leipzig in the quarterfinals, and we would narrowly beat them 4-3 over 2 legs after drawing the second leg 2-2, which would then set up a semi-final against Real Madrid. And after drawing the first leg at the Bernabeu, we beat them 2-1 at the Stadium of Light, set up a final against AC Milan, which is going to be such a good game, and we should be taking an absolute super team into the Champions League final. But obviously Dan Neil and Enzo Olife will both be suspended, 2 of our best players who both cannot play in the Champions League final. It's a good job we have got an unbelievable team on paper, as Antanga's 92 rated, Chris Rigg is 94 rated, Sebar is 90 rated. So our 2 new signings, Nanase and Altimira, come into the starting 11. It's a bloody good job we signed them 2 in the summer, and although they're not as good as Dan Neil and Enzo Olife, they are still very good players. Now in terms of stats this season, Jorn Bonny got 38 goals and 11 assists, and Chris Rigg got 27 goals and 10 assists. They were our best players, and we need them two to perform again in the Champions League final against AC Milan. So here we go, boys. It is Champions League final time, and before we get kicked off, we are just going to analyse the AC Milan team. Looking pretty strong on paper, but do you know what? Looking at their players, I think our team is much better. Honestly, I think we are the favourites heading into this final. So we get the game underway. Playing from Old Trafford as well, so a little bit of home advantage for us. A little bit of a kit clash as well, I can't lie, but hopefully it doesn't really affect the game too much. We're 20 minutes into the final, lads. Not a lot of action really happened. Roderick for Milan. We're approaching the half-an-hour mark with no real chances in this game. Nanase, chance. boys, balloon. You just know if that was Enzo Olife, that would have been 1-0. The first chance of the game does fall for us on 40 minutes. Nanasi just blazes it over the bar. And that's going to be half time, lads. I can't lie. This has been the most boring game of FIFA I've ever played. One chance in the entire first half, ballooned over the bar. I've just really hope I can bring you some highlights in the second half. Very much feels like this will be a 1-goal either way final. Come on, Bonnie. Good space by Bonnie. Oh my god, Bremer with the tackle. We're really missing Enzo Olife in that attacking area. Chuck Wazy can come forward for Milan. Great tackle by Wilfred Singo. Have a dig. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's the second shot of the game, by the way, in the 72nd minute. Cut inside. Keep going. Across Bonnie. What? Chance. It's in, boys. It's Chris Rigg with a goal. Magnan spills the cross. And it's our star player, 94 rated Chris Rigg, who gives us the lead. And in these tight finals where there's no chances, you need a bit of luck. And Magnan definitely gives us that. He completely spills that cross. And Rigg just has an empty net to lash the ball into. And boys, we have got one hand on the trophy. There cannot be long left in this game. Rodri. And he's dragged it wide. Could that be the last chance? 88 on the clock. Rigg with the shot. Easy save for Magnan, but that is going to be full time, boys. The referee blows his whistle. We have won the Champions League with Sunderland. Definitely not a classic and easily one of the most boring Champions League finals we have ever played on the channel. But all that matters is the final result, and Sunderland win the game 1-0. And now all that is left to do is lift the Champions League trophy with Sunderland. It's such a shame that Dan Neil's not doing the honours, but Boyomo lifts the trophy and Sunderland are the champions of Europe. So thank you for watching, everyone. If you managed to watch to the end, you are a real one. We've got one more rebuild coming in FC25 and then I will see you boys in FC26.